Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Critical Beauty. Today, a very important topic. It concerns about the abrupt changes within the Miss Universe organization that have happened this past week. There's so many things to unpack about all these changes. So I have invited some of my good guests, some of my good friends, Roger, the pageant nerd. We have a new guest, JD Toro, and also I was able to invite two additional guests at a very last minute. One of them is Del from Be Extra with Del. She's currently in Mexico City, but I hope she can join us even briefly just to give her opinion about what's happening. And one of my good Indian pageant follower, Sandeep, who is based in Calcutta, he's also joining us for the first time. And Willie, our good friend Wilfredo, Runway Poppy. So we're just gonna wait for these people to join the chat room. So you guys, if you have any questions, let me know. And I'd be more than happy to bring these questions or comments up to our viewers. So I see Roger and JD. Hello.
Hi,
Hey, Mr. Roger, how are you?
I'm Mr. Rafa. I'm fantastic. Greetings from a bit of a dreary morning in Sydney, Australia.
JD, I can't hear you.
Oh, I gotta.
Oh, okay, now I
Can you
can.
hear me now?
Yes. Okay. Before you guys got in, I was telling the audience that we have a new guest, JD Toro.
That's right.
JD, meet Roger. Roger, meet JD Toro.
Roger,
JD,
yes,
hello.
I watch your videos.
Oh,
Okay.
lovely. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
And JD, since this is your debut appearance on Critical Beauty, would you like to say something about yourself, introduce yourself to our viewers? What do you
Yeah, totally.
do? And how did you get interested in pageants and all that lovely stuff?
Yeah, I'm a creative. I'm an artist. Originally, I went to acting school here in New York, and for the last few years, I've just been focusing on my art, abstract, all that stuff. But my passion for beauty pageants started like really early on, I think as a kid, just like logging in my computer and like searching for Miss Universe. I feel like that I think they were born with that sort of thing to just like gravitate towards that level of fantasy. And I feel like since I was a kid, it's always been sort of like this realm that is untouchable. And I feel like there's also a lot of respect that comes from watching these wonderful women just compete and like own the stage, conquer themselves. And it's just, I find beauty pageants to be super inspiring and elevating women, empowering them. But I feel like with Miss Universe, I was thinking about this today. It's a vibe, it's an attitude, and I feel like that's when we watch. That is what we're looking for. It's like who is that girl that just has that je ne sais quoi? It's almost like a goddess energy
Oh my
that
God, he speaks
explain.
French.
Oh my God, that's right. I forget that you speak fluently. I just only know a few
Just
words.
kidding.
But yeah, I love Miss Universe. I think that it is the most prestigious pageant in the world. And as an observer and avid fan, I obviously have a lot of thoughts because I feel like our perspective is really important for them to be able to take it in so that they're giving us the show. We're the ones who, in some extent, keep Miss Universe alive because
Exactly.
we're the ones who tell its history. We're the ones who are interested in it. Like I love watching Roger's videos, and he's so detailed, almost like an encyclopedia of beauty pageants, and like only stuff that I would know. And I feel like that is what it's so beautiful about that community, is that when we look at Miss Universe from that perspective, of only trying to make it better and really share the message across, it's just so wonderful to um, look at beauty pageants and then obviously have all those feelings.
So Miss Universe was the first pageant that you started to follow,
Yeah,
correct?
I remember like as early as like the 1990s. I remember my mom and sister watching the year that Wendy Fitzwilliams won. And I was 7 years old and I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. But you have to pretend that you're straight, right? As a kid. And so you're like looking at this and you're like, I cannot show like excitement. Like I want to applaud. I want to like, I'm vibing with it. And it was always like something that I would always sneak, like watch on the side because I didn't want people to like be like, oh, like he's watching, girly stuff. But yeah, it's the first pageant that I ever saw because it was the first pageant that I think was the most popular in Latin America. Like I grew up in Colombia, and so Miss Universe has this sort of marker where it's so prestigious that whoever goes to Miss Universe and qualifies top five or at least made it in the first runner-up category, they are like iconic women in Colombia.
Of
And so
course.
you grow up with that sort of consciousness and mentality and like knowledge of the beauty pageant world because I feel like it's just like your grandmother watched it, my mother, my sister, all the even men, that would be like the 1 year event where like even men would congregate and watch, who the new sovereign would be. It's so interesting. The new sovereign would be,
Well, beauty queens are treated like royalty in Colombia.
they are, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I feel like
Yeah.
also like the Concurso Nacional had a lot to do with that because they were also have a very iconic history and they always really promoted service to others and a lot of fundraising, not, charitable organizations. So that in itself was also very prestigious in Colombia, the
Mhm.
national pageant before it took over by, Miss Universe Colombia.
Well, maybe you don't remember because you're just too young. When Colombia first Miss Universe in 1958, Luz Marina Zuluaga, the Colombian government gave her a mansion,
That's
and
right. Yeah.
she was declared tax exempt for life.
Yep. Yep.
It's amazing. I mean, how many beauty queens, get that privilege and whatnot? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just being tax exempt itself. Yeah. And she was also like always like even as a kid, like my mother would speak of her.
Mhm.
They it runs in the I think the Latin American blood for sure to just
And
like
she wasn't even the original winner.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, because she got married or something. She wanted to get married and then they
Yeah.
selected Luz Marina to go. And she thought that Brazil had won.
Right,
And
right.
so that,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know a lot. I look at the history and that's like my
Your forte,
that's my
your passion,
yeah, like how do you call it? Guilty pleasure. Just like
guilty
looking at
pleasure.
that kind of stuff, like going down the rabbit hole of like
Right,
who was Miss Universe 1956 and like trying to like see how much archive footage you can find.
right.
Yeah.
So much to learn. Before we continue, I would like to welcome Wilfredo, our good friend, Runway Poppy. Hi,
Hi, you
Wilfredo.
guys.
Hi, darling.
Hello,
Hey.
hello.
Wilfredo, I'd like to introduce to you to JD. JD, Wilfredo.
Oh,
How are you?
hi. Good on you.
Likewise, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so JD is officially the youngest guest I've ever had so far. Yeah,
Well, how old do you think I am?
you're surrounded with old daddies.
Okay. Time
Well,
to start drinking on that one.
consider yourself lucky because you're surrounded with
Exactly.
But
knowledgeable.
I am an old soul, so I do have a lot of old soul energy. So
That's good to know.
Mm.
That's good to know. So, well, you mentioned you were 7 when you saw Wendy Fitzphilip win.
That's right. Yeah, 7. Yeah,
First.
yeah.
That was
Something
in
like that.
1998. So do your math, okay?
Oh,
So
For the last 10.
so you're a you're a Gen Y,
No,
Gen Z. You're a Gen
no,
Z.
I'm a millennial.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're a
he's
millennial.
millennial.
Okay, you're millennial. Okay, all right. Well, still, it's great to have all these generational, people, giving their opinions and what and comments and stuff and everything.
So you were
It's funny because when I check, I don't know about you, Roger, but when I check my stats on my YouTube channel, the majority of my viewers are male, 78% men, okay? And age-wise, the majority are between the ages of 25 to 35, followed by 36 and 55. And then I don't even have teenagers watching my channel. Can you believe it? I'm offended. All right, so what am I doing wrong? I need to attract the teenagers, the babies.
They speak a whole different language. I don't even think
They
it's worth
do. Yeah,
trying.
they are. Yeah, yeah.
They don't.
You don't want
They
them
don't.
involved in the beauty pageant world.
I mean,
They
like,
don't speak. They test.
they probably spend 95% of their time, looking at their screens and stuff, like iPhone, laptop, iPad, TV, whatever type of screen. 95%. That's their life,
But TikTok, that's what rules the new
Mhm.
generation,
TikTok.
like TikTok itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God I made it in TikTok. My number of following is growing in TikTok. So I'm
With
really
your
happy.
ad impersonations.
Yeah, I mean, you need to. I'd like to think of myself as the Madonna of pageantry, because Madonna constantly reinvents herself to get to get more following, and she's always relevant. And I want to stay relevant until I die. You know what I mean? So yeah, so people keep watching me, and also Roger.
Thank you. But JD, can I just say that your story about how you got started in pageantry, it's like we were separated at birth. It was like I'm a bit older than you, but I was about 7 or 8 years old. My sister got me watching 1983, maybe. But it was this mystical thing. And it's just so, like the words that you were saying, it was just so spot on with how I viewed Miss Universe when I first started. It was just as if, yeah, very much an untouchable, perfect, sort of ethereal type of thing that we could only just aspire to have some sort of contact with in the future. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like it gave me the tingles. It was. Yeah, it was.
The words came naturally from my heart, so I really appreciate that, because I was trying to think of like, I knew that I was going to be asked these sort of questions, and I was like, what is it really that had drew me to this? Until like, I feel like it's something that I think about because I reached out to Rafa, and I was like, if you ever want to have me on, like bring me on, because like I just feel like all this sort of like interest and curiosity and all these sort of like um um energetic, spiritual connections that I have with Miss Universe, like are really beautiful. And I feel like talking about it is always, I don't know. Once again, like watching all these women be so empowered is always like watching R'Bonney Gabriel, for example, in 2023. Was it 2023? And like
2022.
watching her performance, and
No.
like I think she was 2022, but I think the pageant happened
Yeah.
2023.
January
Yeah.
2023. Yeah.
By just
Yeah.
watching her, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, that's when I thought that the caliber of Miss Universe was only going to keep peaking up. And I feel like what has happened is actually declining, which is what I think also
Well,
brought me over to like, I want to talk about these because I feel like we as a group, people watching, we can just generate more perspective, more clarity of like, you know, what our interest is, but Roger, like you were saying, is like this sort of beauty that I feel like we want to protect, to some extent.
Very much.
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm glad that you stopped suppressing your desire, because it's not a good idea. It's not very healthy to suppress your lust for passion, so to speak. So it's nice to be able to connect with a community that shares your passion. Consider this
Yes.
as sort of like a pageant alcoholic anonymous group or something.
No, but there's such a community and there's just so much interest. And I always find myself watching on YouTube's like new content because it's just like such a great pastime that helps you reminisce of something that I think that's the beauty of the world, is when we connect with that energy of that is the kind of woman that we want to see in society. I hope that every woman acted like this. That I think that is what I think is so beautiful about beauty pageants. That my wish is for every woman on this planet to, aspire to be a beauty queen within themselves first and foremost, so that they can generate a different world. I feel like to some extent the world is going through like so many different things and like all these political issues, and at the end of the day it's about like how are we helping our society evolve. And it just feels it's all about a feeling of confidence, empowerment, and if you feel that within yourself and your everyday, then you're succeeding in life. And I feel like that's the beauty of what beauty pageant queens do. They just share their their force, their fierceness of how they desire something and they went for it and they got it.
Exactly. Totally agree. Wilfredo, how are you, my friend?
well, mixed emotions because we lost somebody so special, at least in my life, spiritually speaking. Pope Francis passed away.
He was
He
buried today.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, he was buried today. I'm part Catholic, so the celebrations and the 9 days and all these things. So I want to elevate it, sending prayers and support to his family and other people that rejoined faith because of him being so powerful. Seeing
He will
somebody
be
that, even
missed.
though was
He will be
imperfect,
missed
he
because
was
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
I
he
mean,
was really the Pope of the people.
yeah, he, remembering when he said that he who he is to be judging gay people, the LGBT community, um, living so humble, like not living in the like he's supposed to be a pope. He was so humble from the beginning, and he was so imperfect but perfect at the same time. So it's been a moment, but make me happy to see that a lot of people saw somebody so beautifully humble being the first Hispanic or Latino being the Pope. So for me, it's amazing. But I feel happy because I'm back with you because I miss you so much. I'm
I
tired of
miss
being
you
missing
too.
you. I catch part of the JV's history. I think all of us grew up or find our passion in pageantry when we were little. In my case, in Puerto Rico, for those that doesn't know, pageantry is like politics and sports. Like I remember when Miss USA, Miss Teen USA, Miss Universe, you know, Miss Puerto Rico and all the national pageants in Puerto Rico, Miss Wilson, Miss World, etc. We would sit down with a notebook, doing the points and adding and subtracting, and was amazing. And I remember, even though I grew up watching them, but my first one that I literally was coming back from church and I just opened the door and they just called Puerto Rico was in 1993, Dayanara Torres. And I was shocked. I throw the Bible in the floor. God forgive me. I sit down and I was like, oh my God, we can win. And I remember I was in floor 15 in a condominium. And when she won, every single person, the neighborhood, I mean, remember, I'm in a 15th floor. You think everybody's screaming in the street. I was like, oh, I'm gonna study modeling. I wanna be anything. And that was my mark when Dayanara won. And then after that, having the blessing to meet in Miss Universe 85, Deborah, we became friends in Puerto Rico and been in pageantry in Puerto Rico and then moved to the United States and continue this amazing journey that pageantry brings. But one of the things that I always remember is Miss Universe, in order to be back to be the essence, they need to be back to their roots.
Yeah.
Because Miss Universe was Miss Universe, even though Miss World is the number one in the world because of the people that watch it, the amount and the whatever. But in America, North, Central, South, and Caribbean, Miss Universe is number one for a reason.
Yes.
Because Miss Universe was able to allow the Latinos to have a voice versus other pageants that are more European or towards going to the Asian market at that time, of course. But Miss Universe just opened doors because what's a different platform? Was like we can have somebody that speaks Spanish first, English second, win the title. And always expecting the Latinas, when they created the powerhouses, and coming from the island that was the first country where Miss Universe was celebrated outside United States.
Right, 72.
So
Yeah.
exactly, and different emotions. Is that what is happening right now? I think there's other pageants that are trying to utilize that formula to come and eat the apple. Sadly to say, but it's true.
Miss
And
Cosmo.
honestly, I'm not saying names because I don't want nobody to think
Well,
because
I
I'm
just said
working
it, Miss
with them.
Cosmo.
I know, but I don't want to say
Copycat.
myself.
Copycat.
I'm not a copycat. But I don't know.
Whenever you
It's
go
like
back into like the screen and I see Nawat's face screaming on the roller coaster.
best friends forever. It's like JD said. I mean, Miss Universe was a door for a lot of people. I mean, I remember studying pageantry in school and in my free time, learning the history and everything because I knew that I needed to be knowledgeable in order to train somebody. and that thing is missed. And that is the difference. I'm blessed that I grew up in the time when pageantry was pageantry. And now it's like, now I'm blessed to bring my knowledge to the newcomers like JD, and they can continue the legacy in the future when I'm 99. And I can say, oh, that's JD, I remember him. You know, to embrace what pageantry is all about. It's all about, a woman that is powerful, that can be sensual, sexy, elegant, beautiful, and have a brain that can impact, that can be a voice, that can be that can be a career oriented, can be a boss lady without compromising who she is as a female, as a woman.
Well, that's debatable.
Well, it's supposed to, but that's
Anyway, all right. So
Rafa, remember the allegedly.
Allegedly.
Everything that we say here in the channel, people.
Allegedly.
Disclaimer.
Our
Disclaimer.
opinion is allegedly, because this is information that we receive and we pass it. We are the voice of the people that cannot speak, like Pope Francis did. So
Exactly.
we're doing that in pageantry. So this is allegedly.
You know that Pope Francis wanted to talk about Miss Universe so bad.
Badly.
I know. Hey,
badly.
He met some Miss Universe.
That's right. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Gabriela
from Venezuela.
Yes.
Demi.
And even two Miss World contestants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she
Leticia from Brazil.
From South Africa.
From Brazil. And then the girl from South Africa. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So yeah, he's been everywhere. So anyway, as you know, the reason why I wanted to have this group chat is because there had been a series or a cascade of abrupt events that have happened within the Miss Universe organization in the last 3 or 4 days, okay? And there's so much to talk about, and sometimes I don't know where to begin, and maybe you guys can help. But I wrote some notes, okay? As you know, okay, we can talk about the current Miss Universe Victoria Theilvig, who arrived in the Philippines to attend the Miss Universe Philippines 2025 finals. But did you guys notice there was not much fanfare at the airport? Can somebody please explain? Filipino fans, could you please explain why? Where were the fans? So I was watching this YouTube channel, The Crown Philippines, and the correspondents went to the airport, but I only saw like about a dozen vloggers, saying hello, greeting Victoria and Miss Universe Philippines, Chelsea Manalo. But where was the fanfare? Where are the other people? Where are the crowd? I didn't see anything. It was the same thing that happened the first time
her homecoming.
Remember, went to the Philippines like a month ago, a sponsor's visit, no fanfare. So
I hope when Sheynnis went.
Sheynnis went, and they gave her a big, humongous,
a lot of people went,
faux homecoming and whatnot. So are they going to give the same thing to the Continental Queens, I hope, and also to Victoria? So that was one thing that I noticed. And Miss Universe Philippines finals is on May 2nd, at the same time as Puteri Indonesia finals. It's May 2nd. If you only had a chance to go to one pageant, where would you go? Miss Universe Philippines or Puteri Indonesia? Come on, people, fans. Write down your answers, please. Puteri Indonesia or Miss Universe Philippines? Where would you go? Would you rather see all the splendor and the pageantry and the gorgeousness and amazing stage of Puteri? Because they do great productions, Puteri Indonesia, okay? Although they no longer hold the Miss Universe franchise, sadly, okay? And then you compare the production with last year's Miss Universe Philippines, which I thought was okay, but I hope it'll be much better considering that the Victorias will be present as well as the Continental Queens. But yeah, let me know, jot down where we're going to go, Philippines or Indonesia. Roger, where would you go?
I personally would go to Puteri Indonesia because last year's pageant produced Miss Supranational, Miss Cosmo, a runner-up in, where was it?
International, Supranational.
International and Charm or something like that. But yeah,
Charm.
I think their standard of contestants, it's really flown under the radar because they don't have either, Miss World or Miss Universe anymore. But they really are a sleeper. And I think it will only be a matter of time before they, break
Win
through
Miss
for one of the
Universe.
bigger
Yeah,
pageants.
yeah.
But the fact that they lost that franchise to Poppy Capella, who then ended up losing it because of what happened with Miss Universe Indonesia a couple of years ago, with the girls being checked naked for cellulite and scars and
But
all
the
that
body
stuff, which was just horrific. So, look, as much as I'd like to obviously see all the Continental Queens and everything, I mean, Rafa, you and I were in Mexico. We got to see the Continental Queens being announced weirdly after the Miss Universe winners press conference, when they were winners supposedly from prelims, which just seemed really weird because none of them made the top 5 except for Nigeria. Anyway, I'm rambling. My answer would be Puteri Indonesia, just because I think that they are really working very hard to produce a range of high quality delegates, and that, I think, is a shame again that they haven't retained one of the big franchises.
Agree. JD, where would you go?
I think I would go to Indonesia as well, because I'm a huge fan of what is her name? Tata?
Tata?
Yeah, a huge fan of her. I love her energy. I love her presence. I love everything that she is. And so I feel like there will be probably more connectivity with her as a queen than I feel like with Victoria. Victoria doesn't seem to be like a queen of the people. She's like a fashion model, and she's like in this sort of like she doesn't have a very social like a very active social media. She barely
Yeah,
posts.
I noticed that too.
She doesn't
I
really
think
do a lot of
Substance.
content or like a lot of
yeah,
like putting herself out
yeah,
there. So I'm like, I feel like that's the whole point of like winning a pageant, is like, what are you doing? Cosmo just did, like, the girls, Tata just did a singing thing that was kind of fabulous. And I'm
yeah.
like, but I think you also need a queen who has ideas and who knows what she wants to accomplish within her reign.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's why I feel like Indonesia has really prepared their girls for winning contests and
Mhm.
international pageants. And I think the responsibilities that also come with that.
Right. Mhm.
And
And
that's
they're
why I feel
very
like,
and they're very, very well funded. They have a lot of great sponsors as well. Yeah.
yeah. And
I, I,
I feel like their girls are always very mature. They just feel like mature women. And I love that.
Mm-hmm. Wilfredo,
so hello, Noemi. She say hi to us. She's doing some
where the
secret
hell?
stuff.
Yeah, I invited Noemi, but she has a guest this weekend. I told her, why don't you just leave your guest in a casino in Las Vegas for a few hours and come join our chat group, okay? And she said, haha, yeah, whatever.
Well,
Not gonna happen.
no,
Hi, Noemi.
it's she's cooking. Well, we're cooking something, because
Yeah,
she's
what
the
is she
master
cooking? Noemi,
chef.
what are you cooking? Show us.
We
Better be
cannot show what
healthy.
we cannot show what
Better
we're
be
cooking, but
healthy.
what we're cooking it pretty good. So I'm representing both. But
He's
honestly,
cooking a new product that Nawat is gonna sell in Miss Universe.
There you go.
we is
And Miss Grand International.
pizzas.
Miss
I mean, going
Grand.
international. I don't know. I think that the current Miss Universe is gorgeous. I mean, she's beautiful, but again, she is she's part of these winners that you are beautiful and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And this is a business. You need to have a type of personality. What gave uh last year winner Nicaragua the it factor, other than the story behind it, is that number one, she listened. She have a life story. She more. She
Mm-hmm.
embraced who she is and still. And she
Mhm.
was able to utilize her experience back home to
Well, she
make
hasn't.
herself
She,
relatable
well, she
to
hasn't returned
others.
home. She's stuck in America.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that is the thing. It's like she had the story about I cannot go back to my home, but in the same time, a lot of Latinos, a lot of immigrants, one way or another, they were able to identify with this particular Miss Universe, because it's like she is in this world where everything needs to be fabulous and perfect. She's still human, facing things that we normal people
Mhm.
face to every day. So, there was something to identify that the current Miss Universe deserves to win. she was beautiful. We all knew that she was the one to beat because they would not crown Puerto Rico or Venezuela. We know that they would not going to crown somebody that is part of the inclusiveness. And that pageant, honestly, the production was a fiasco, honestly. So with everything of what is going on in Miss Universe, you know, and it's not only Miss Universe. I mean, Miss USA is silenced. I Miss Teen USA. Nobody knows what, you know, nobody knows what is going on. Living in one of the most competitive states in United States, South Carolina, all the girls that normally go to Miss USA system are going now to Miss America because it's almost May. Miss South Carolina USA hasn't happened yet, and that never happens.
Well, they don't have a state director, a new one.
Exactly.
They couldn't find anybody. South Carolina and North Carolina do not have a state director at the moment. Yes,
because
and from what I heard, Lily Rose has vanished.
Oh, she's not banished. She received a letter from Hogwarts, and she's over there studying occlumency.
Well, she hasn't talked to me, so
Hogwarts.
Yeah, she received the owl. Look,
anyway,
I mean,
go ahead.
I love when they start talking to us. We'll read soon over there. The thing is, like, you know, she's a beautiful face, but we already have a gorgeous blonde queen that is being banking money, and that's Miss World.
Oh,
that woman is
levels above.
She is like, when God created her, he was like, there's not even space to do a twin. It's like, we're going to create her, we're going to break them all. She is, if we're going to look for the blonde one, the most gorgeous blonde one among, in this year, Miss World is beautiful. Like, she is just,
completely.
She just.
I wonder if this is one of my stupid conspiracy theories. I wonder the only reason why they picked Victoria is just so she could rival the blonde Miss World.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's been thrown
so people
around,
can compare.
and it makes sense.
Yeah.
So but I feel like what's been happening. I feel
she's
like
an inferior version, though, unfortunately.
I mean, but even
I don't know. You cannot choose a queen to compete against another one with the same, if it's not the same caliber and beauty. I'm not saying that Miss Universe is not beautiful. Don't try to hate me again, although I loving it. I feel so honored from last time live. But come on, people. She can be like the little sister of Miss World. Like, you put Miss World, Miss Universe working on a red carpet, everything is gonna go to Miss World. She has a presence. She doesn't need to speak. She just need to just stand right there, beautiful, and that's it.
Exactly. And people, I mean, she's like a real head turner. I think when you mentioned that Victoria does not have substance, I kind of like agree, but in a way, I kind of like feel bad for her because, you know, she's given a script on how to act, how to behave. In a way, you can say that she's sort of like manipulated by the organization itself. And I kind of like feel bad for her, you know, about that. But, you know, it is what it is. And I hope, you know what, and to this day, I'm still pissed that she hasn't promoted her advocacy, which is supposed to be animal rights welfare. Animal rights is animal welfare. She hasn't done anything to promote her advocacy. And I don't know what's going on. But yet she goes to all these, you know, countries and take photo ops with underprivileged children. But what about the animals who are abused, who are in shelters and whatnot? Do your job. Isn't that one part of your advocacy thing? Speak up.
But then, Rafa, she was also, and look, and obviously this is a topic that needs to be dealt with a lot of respect and sensitivity. But from what I understand, she said that she was, you know, came from a broken home, was a sexual abuse survivor, you know, those sorts of things. And look, not to say that she's always going to want to talk about it, but the fact that she has included it in bio information in the past, was there any scope for her to speak out about that sort of thing, especially when she's traveling to other parts of the world? You know, domestic violence is such a prevalent issue at the moment. So look,
you wonder has she actually touch the lives of people, of women, compared to, let's say, Sheynnis. I mean, Sheynnis' story was sad, okay, but she had a great story, and she was able to reach out and touch people. I'm still waiting for that day to, for when Victoria actually touched the lives of somebody. And it doesn't matter how many, one person would suffice. But come on, work harder, okay? Do something.
She's too young.
Yeah,
She's too young.
that's exactly what I was thinking. She's 21, and I cannot imagine. I feel like in the past that kind of thing would work. Where,
Okay,
like,
fine. Then touch the lives of animals.
But that's the
Yeah,
thing.
but
Is also like I feel like over the last few years, it's sort of like a urgency, or like forcing these girls to like come up with advocacies that they're not really that connected with, because they needed to have something to go to Miss Universe. And I feel a certain way about advocacies, because I'm like, unless you have like something that you actually do on a daily basis, like R'Bonney Gabriel, where she actually worked with specific communities and she taught them a skill, that is extremely useful. That is an authentic way to describe yourself and to promote your advocacy, because you're actually doing something. But a lot of these advocacies are like concepts of what they are interested about, but they're not really doing anything within their community to actually drive any change within that theme they're promoting, which I think is the case with Victoria. I think Sheynnis didn't need an advocacy, because I feel like her energy was so powerful that in itself, but like Wilfredo said, she morphed. She had gone to Miss World and she understood what she needed to do, which was, I just need the attitude of a winner. And I just need to take that and write it all, all the way. It helped that she was competing in El Salvador, close to her country. And there were many factors that really helped her. But with her, I feel like she's really utilizing the fact that she knows that her audience is young Latin American women. And that's what she's feeding. And it's so, she's not necessarily like my cup of tea as a Miss Universe, but I feel like in that sense of like what she's able to use to inspire these group of girls, I think it's extraordinary, because that is the consciousness, or the community that she was, let's say, brought into this world to really give an idea, a hope of like, I was born in Mexico or Nicaragua or El Salvador, and I can be a Miss Universe if I really, really want it.
Right.
And that in itself is extremely inspirational. But I think a lot of things help her with that in itself, where I don't think Victoria has that community to be like, we're looking up to you, please teach us something.
I believe that it's all about the organization as well, because for instance, when Miss Universe was Miss Universe, and they have already the platforms about the advocacy, and that is one of the key successful factors that Miss World has since the 80s, when they created Beauty with the Purpose. They know that every country that have the license, they need to have a platform related with Beauty with the Purpose. So they would know how to work around and work with the candidate, and now Miss Cosmos. But when Miss Universe tried to kind of copycat the SDGs and all, it's not working. When Sheynnis won, they have in the top 5 2 delegates that they have a platform that relates with public speaking with the community, which would be amazing. One of them was Puerto Rico, Carla, that she's still doing that, even though she's no longer Miss Universe Puerto Rico. She's been using her platform that she's been doing for years before she competed.
Right.
So when you have a queen that literally, like JD said, when you have somebody that have a platform that is being built before thinking about being in pageants, that helps. Not because you decided to come up with a platform, and that's it.
Yeah, that's also the case. That's also the case with Michelle Dee. Before she even competed for Miss World Philippines and Miss Universe Philippines, she was already very active with her autism advocacy and other things. Yeah.
And Catriona, sorry to say, she had one of the worst years to become Miss Universe.
Yeah. So if any young girl, young woman out there wants to pageants, you better start your advocacy right now, at least 2 years before you compete in any pageant you want. Okay. If you feel like you want to compete in this earth, then start planting trees, for Pete's sake, okay? Or start picking trash in your neighborhood or whatever. Start recycling and all this lovely stuff, okay? Yeah, but it has to start now. Now,
before I continue, organization.
Yeah, before I continue,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I want to
What is the
acknowledge our
national
viewers.
organization?
Shut up, Wilfredo.
Sorry.
I was
Okay, shut up.
stop. Let's acknowledge our viewers who are watching. Okay. We have Onia from Toronto. Hi, Onia. We have Senior King from Ottawa. There are Canadians watching. Obinibi Amua. Oh, the four popes of pageantry. We are the four popes
Wow.
of pageantry.
Is that what they're calling
How
us?
sweet. Yeah, so that's what she's calling us. Well, thank you. That's just so sweet. Good nature to all.
Well,
Ohiniba says Putri Indonesia starts 3 hours after Miss Universe Philippines has started. So Miss Universe Philippines would be crowning while Putri Indonesia would just be starting. Well, that's good to know. Okay. But still, you know, it doesn't change the fact that Putri will probably have a much better production anyway than Miss Universe Philippines. Okay. Noemi, join the chat. Your guest can find something to do for 4 hours. That's true. Okay, the blonde that actually rivals Miss World is Jessica of Miss Earth. Even she falls short. Yeah, I have a lot to say. I have a lot of this. Actually, I'm preparing my next vlog about Miss Earth, in which I argue that it is fading away and it's dying. So watch out for the next vlog. I'm sure it's gonna piss off a lot of Earthlings, but you know what? Who cares? All right. Let's move on. As you know, April 22nd, the Thai Securities Exchange Commission fined JKN Global and the CEO and Jacra Jutate, but instead of saying and, they used her male name, because in Thailand, transsexuals are not considered legal. So they mentioned her male name, Jacra Potong or something like that. So anyway, SEC fined Anne and JKN 4.1 million Thai bahts because, you know the reason why? Roger, do you know the reason why?
They were cooking the books.
Yes, exactly. All right. So she falsified her documentation about considering the selling of Miss Universe and whatnot. So apparently, so when the reports came out in January last year that Anne had sold half of her stakes in the Miss Universe organization to Raul. Hi Raul, how are you? Listen to me, Raul. Raul. So
he's busy with Miss Universe.
she sold half of her stakes to Raul, the Mexican tycoon, and
The Mexican
SEC,
tycoon.
yeah, the SEC demanded clarification from Anne and her group. Now, Anne listed, I guess she listed her company reported as what happened? SEC learned that the sale had materialized as early as October 2023, or 3 months
Wow.
before the release of the news reports that it sought clarification for. So yeah, she misled, she gave some misleading disclosures about the sales. So for that, SEC got pissed. Okay, honey, you gotta pay us $4.9 million. And not only that, but she's forbidden to hold an executive position for the next 56 months, which makes you wonder who the hell is running Miss Universe organization in Thailand or in the Asian hemisphere? Who? And
The
even,
one and only.
you know what I mean?
Papa
Papa
Nawat.
Nawat.
On the same
The one and
day,
only
on
Papa
the same day,
Nawat.
Nawat.
The one and only Papa Nawat.
on the same date, no, Opal, our beautiful Opal, third runner-up from Miss Universe 2024, was dethroned from her third runner-up position by the Miss Universe organization, allegedly because she decided to accept another international title, which is Miss World Thailand, owned by a rival company, TPN Global. So, okay, here's a question. How do you dethrone a third runner-up?
That is
Well, I have thoughts about that.
Go, JD.
Well, Number one, I feel like the moment that TPN lost the franchise, she lost her title simultaneously, didn't she? Because if it now belonged to Nawat, Nawat was not going to let Opal give up her crown. He was not going to do that. That belonged, he's such a, I would say, like maybe egotistical kind of person that he would not even allow that relationship to coexist. So I feel like the moment that they dethroned, that they gave the franchise to Nawat, I feel like they were not going to give her any opportunity to continue her reign as Miss Universe Thailand. It also makes sense. I feel like if the Continental Queen was chosen preliminary night, correct? That's what they said they were gonna do, and that they were going to name the girls that night of the preliminary, but it went like 4 hours long. They didn't do it. But I always have an issue with why Philippines became continental Asia, because if Opal got further down into the top five, that means that she was the favorite from Asia in the preliminary round as well. It would only make sense that she also got the highest scores if she, within the judge circle, was getting such high placement finals night.
Exactly.
Unless he saw something different in her that, but I don't think that Philippines really got that. I think that they named Philippines Continental Asia because they knew that they were going to sell to Nawat, and they knew that she was not going to be part of that circle in the months to come. Because right now they're on the Asia tour with the Continental Queens, but it wouldn't coincide with her being, if with TPN losing the franchise. I don't know. These are the things that I've thought about, that I feel like this was already like sort of planned ahead of time
I think
by
so too.
Anne
I think so
to
too.
sell the franchise to Nawad. And
Yeah.
I feel like at that moment she lost her title. So why are they mad? Why are they upset that she now has the opportunity to then, with her organization, go to a pageant that they acquired had they not lost the Miss Universe franchise? So why are they upset?
Well,
I
it's
feel
not like
like I just want to reprimand.
it's not like as if, she was invited to all these events, right after she was crowned third runner-up. I mean, she was probably desperately waiting for a phone call or contact for the Miss Universe organization, like invite her to go someplace with the other girls and stuff, but she hasn't. So she gave up. I've been waiting and waiting for a phone call, but no answer from Miss Universe organization. You know what? The other company is going to offer me Miss World Thailand. I'm going to take it. Bye, Miss Universe. Bye. I mean, wouldn't you do the same thing? I would have done the same thing.
Well, especially given that eventually Thailand was announced as the host of Miss Universe this year, you'd think that the reigning Miss Universe Thailand would have been involved, even if she wasn't one of the continental queens. And I think you spot on, JD. Like there were 9 women from Asia that made the top 30, and only Opal not only made the top 12, but made the top 5. Like it wasn't even close. So
Yeah.
Opal really should have been, the continental queen. But there were obviously, and you're, I think, spot on. I think that there was obviously all this stuff happening in the background. And I just don't think Opal gave a about losing the title, because even if Miss Universe didn't renounce this supposed title that she had, I mean, being a runner-up means that you don't have a title, but that's by the by. Like she obviously chose to renounce the Miss Universe title Thailand by taking Miss World. So she knew this was all going to happen. Like you can't simultaneously hold 2 national titles with 2 different organizations. So she knew exactly what was going to happen. So I think she's pretty much just given the middle finger to all things MUO, MUT, all the above.
A Thai source sent me this message. Rafa, Opal said at the Miss World Thailand press conference that the Miss Universe organization told her and the runners-up to go back to the hotel room after the Miss Universe 2024 pageant. She never signed any contract with the Miss Universe organization, but instead, continental winners ended up signing Miss Universe contracts. This is why Opal said that her dethronement from Miss Universe did not make any sense to her, as she never signed any contract with them and they never gave her any jobs. So that's the truth. That's exactly the truth. You know what? To this day, I still do not know the reason why they added the Continental Queens or how did they come about, because I've heard from a couple of national directors, they were surprised when they announced the Continental Queens, because it was never written on the contract between Miss Universe and the national director. agreement that there was going to be a Continental Queens. Everything came out as a surprise. And to this day, I still don't know why they added Continental Queens for the real reason why.
To be honest with you, Rafa, I think that they just want to copycat Miss World. They just want to, or choose like, they've been trying to bring things back from the past, because in the 70s, if hopefully I'm not wrong, the top 5 used to travel with Miss Universe long time ago, and the Miss World started choosing or selecting continental queens from the top 5 ranking order. So this year they decided to do that to see if it's going to work with them. Again, Miss Universe is not able even to work well with one person. Neither to say they're going to be able to work with all these continental queens and Miss Universe. Number 2, my only guessing about the continental queens is that they might did that from the preliminary competition, and that's how they chose the continental queens. And of course, like they normally say, when you are called semi-finalist, your scores are 0. So my hypothesis is continental queens were chosen in the preliminary competition, and that's it. Has nothing to do with the final results, which honestly, I always believe that if you're going to choose continental queens, you need to kind of explain how you're choosing this.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not. I mean, whatever happened to transparent? It's not transparent enough. There's no transparency.
It's like, for example, when Nawat do the winner of the best body in swimsuit, it's not based on the final 9. It is based on the competition in the boat and the preliminary. It has nothing to do how you. And the reason sometimes people think like, okay, but she won the award, well, she's not top 10, because that has nothing to do with the final 9. So again, they just did some. I mean, number 1, that's BS. I'm sorry, but I'm super happy that Opal is going to Miss World. I think there will be. She looks beautiful. I think she's gonna do good in Miss World. There's competition.
I think she's the heavy favorite now to win Miss World.
Now she's the head just because of and if she wins, I'm gonna be happy. Although there's competition in Miss World this year.
Tough.
But
it's very tough. It's
very tough, especially because these girls have more than 1 year to prepare. But going back to Miss Universe, I mean, Nawat, and this executive decision is what Nawat knows how to do. One thing that keeps Nawat in the map, because he do things without filters. He thinks that he's the man of the hour. So he's going to kick people out, say this, say that, blah, 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 just to keep it relevant. And I told you.
He showed Anne Anne's favorite thing, money. And he just showed it to her on her face, and she just went bananas. And is like, your executive.
Why do you think they're besties? They're besties now. They're
but apparently they were best friends. They were best friends like before too, but something happened apparently, right? Yeah.
And then there was a rift temporarily, but now they got reunited. But you know what? Yeah, now what? I'm sure we all agree that he was behind this dethronement, but he has a history of dethroning runners-up. Remember?
Yeah.
He has a history. I remember he dethroned Miss Grand Myanmar, second runner-up. He dethroned her.
She deserved that, though.
She did deserve that. She's a brat. If she's out there listening to this, girl, you gotta change. You gotta check your attitude, girl.
And the national director.
He dethroned Miss Grand France, Safietou Kebengele.
She was kind of annoying. I'm gonna say it.
I totally agree. She was very, very annoying. And then was it in 2020?
Miss Grand 2015?
Yeah, exactly.
Because she competed
twice.
The girl from Mauritius who made the top 10, she was dethroned, and then she was replaced by Miss Philippines, Roberta Tamondong, remember? Yes. So yeah, now what is the history of dethroning a
fifth runner-up?
The fifth runner-up and stuff.
All 5 of them.
But then people. It's funny because people are comparing Opal's dethronement to, let's say, well, it didn't happen to her, but Lalela Mswane, Miss South Africa 2022, who became Miss Supranational 2022. she didn't get a lot of support from South Africa because at that time, the South African government, was not very friendly to Israel when Miss Universe was held in Israel. So when she decided to compete for Miss Supranational, she didn't get any supports either from the government.
She had allegedly a bad attitude. She is awful. She's the worst South African queen.
I think we all know
ever
that
seen.
now. I think we all know that she's the worst.
She is awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so happy.
She removed her Miss Supranational title from her Instagram profile.
Yeah, she is nasty. And that's one thing that I don't like. I mean, I can't.
Vietnam should have won that year. The second runner-up who competed with her in Miss Universe.
I don't know how she won because no.
I also don't know how she made it to top 3 because I don't think that she belonged to the top 3 of Miss Universe.
Of course not.
Supposed to be hilarious. That was supposed to be Colombia's spot.
I totally agree.
Totally
agree. Yeah, totally agree. I don't know why everybody's falling for Lalela. I mean, she was great when she won Miss South Africa. I was very happy for her. But when she progressed during the competition, like Miss Universe and then Miss Supranational, like really, Anyway,
he was riding the South Africa roller coaster because at that time it was pretty popular.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying Opal is not a victim. I'm even surprised why she got in the top 5 because she's just so. I don't know. She deserved it. I'm sorry, we don't agree. Roger and I don't agree with you. I mean, she deserved to be in top 5.
I'm gonna say something. I didn't like her ensemble in the final night. I was expecting more in evening gown, and to make her seem more powerful because that's what I was expecting from Thailand. It's like from the Philippines. I wanted powerful. I mean, after Michelle, whoever wins Miss Philippines needs to be double powerful than Michelle. If somebody from the Philippines is competing, I want to see somebody that can beat Michelle, Catriona, and Pia all together. Need to be a powerhouse. Cannot be just no.
Michelle also deserved top 5. I had her in my top.
Michelle. I wanted Michelle to be in the top 5. I'm sorry, they needed to kick out Australia or Colombia. My apologies.
I agree. With kicking out Colombia.
No offense to Roger.
Australia and Colombia. I completely agree. I thought that she went way too far.
Yeah.
I really like Morea. I think that there was something really I love Australian beauties. Like I feel like Jennifer Hawkins is to me like one of the iconic in the universe. So like I always love even the one from the year before. She made it into the top 16. I don't know her name, but
in Florida, yes.
Yeah. And I really liked her attitude. I love Australian girls competing when they make it into the top 20, whatever, because they always come with attitude. And I have to give it to her. Morea had something. She did. But I'm also like
blonde. Her answers were a bit blah.
Blonde.
Roger, don't kill me.
Something to me. So
the only two
I agree, Wilfredo. I agree.
The only 2 Australian queens that I love in history is Jennifer and Miss Australia 1993.
Voni Delfos.
I love Carrie Wells is stunning to me. Okay.
For me, those 2 are the best Miss Australia because those are the ones that I remember. I remember 1993 in the center. I was like, oh, that girl is gonna win. And then Puerto Rico came with the
Puerto Rico stole the scene.
She goes like, hey, look at my eyes, look at my pale skin, bitches, I'm gonna win. But that year, I was like, oh, this is between Australia and Brazil. Come on, go ahead, people.
Yeah,
that was such a dramatic year. I love 93 so much.
Yeah, me too. That was like a cup fight. It's like the 2 drag queens fighting for RuPaul's Drag Race. And then the bar became like, excuse me, drag queens, is this a real pageant for real women or natural? Thank you. But, oh my Lord.
Moving on.
Wilfredo, I'll tell you a story really quick. I'll tell Wilfredo's story because I feel like you'll like this one.
Okay.
I feel like I was like maybe 10 years old. My parents, we drove to Disneyland in Florida.
Okay.
And we entered this shop and we're like in the line to buy something to eat, and I turn around and I see I think at that point, one of the most striking beauties I've ever seen in my life. Cheekbones, like just gorgeous. It was Dayanara Torres. And I remember like looking back, and I was always like, I was looking back because the light was hitting her face in such a way, and she has like the most petite face, but like her cheekbones, her eyes are like blue, like the ocean.
Yes.
And I was like, damn, and I was gay, and I was like, just like I just kept turning back and you know, and looking at her because I was like, that is a stunning woman. And then everyone started gathering and taking pictures with her, and you know, we figured out that she was Dayanara and all that story. But Dayanara is
Wow.
a
But
stunning, stunning woman.
She is beautiful. I met her in person when Miss Universe was held in the Philippines in January
Okay.
2017. And she was doing an interview for a local TV chat show. And my friends and I got good selfies with her. And she was just so nice, so
oh yeah,
beautiful, up close.
Up
And
close, yeah, she's
I yelled at her in Spanish, Dayanara, te queremos. Dayanara, we love you. And she was,
Te
no,
amo.
yeah,
Los amo. Los
this is the thing
amo.
about Dayanara. Dayanara
Filipinos
is so
love Dayanara
humble.
so much. There will
She
never
is
be,
so humble
there will
and so
never be
thankful.
another Dayanara ever again.
Rafa, you need to say it like Anne says
Mhm.
it. Los amo.
Los amo. Guess
No,
who's
but
watching the Pageant Empress? George, the Pageant Empress, we're missing you. We are
Oh,
missing the Pageant Empress, but he's watching us. Hi, George. He's saying about the Miss Grand Myanmar's national director that he was very nasty and that he was shouting on the venue saying that MGI is rigged and that Myanmar deserve it. Yeah, I think we all know the story. But guess what? He now has the Miss Cosmo
Miss World.
franchise. Miss World and Miss Cosmo. Yeah, for Myanmar. So, you know, if one door closes, another one opens. So good for you. Good for you. And he's so hot. Anyway, he's so cute. I just like when I like pinch his cheeks or something. So cute. Uh anyway, moving on.
Puerto queens are so
April
regal.
23rd, JKN assigned Nawat as the new executive director of Miss Universe organization. Woo-hoo! Woo, 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 woo. When I saw that, I was like, is it like too late for April Fools?
Like
You know, like
when
2 days
he also
later.
had the franchise of Miss Cosmo.
Or unless it's the Thai date for April Fools, I don't know, you know. But I was like, I just laughed it up. I did not believe it. But then again, when I went to the Miss Universe Thailand page, oh my God, there it is. Lo and behold, it was being announced as the executive director. And I was digging more, you know, did this come from the Western Hemisphere part of Miss Universe? Was it agreed upon between both hemispheres, or was it just the Asian Hemisphere who decided to promote Nawat to executive director? And lo and behold, the Miss Universe organization from the Western Hemisphere published a press release denying that Nawat was ever assigned as the executive director. What does that say about the organization, people? Please explain.
I think this is the Elon Musk appointment of Miss Universe.
Doge.
Exactly.
Doge.
He's going to come in and clear it all out and then make MGI better, and everyone's going to want MGI to replace Miss Universe. He's going to strangle Miss Universe to the point of no return. Or they're going to merge. Who knows? Maybe they'll become one pageant.
I already said that Nawat is going to be the owner of Miss Universe. He's going to say bye-bye, and he has vengeance. It's going to be like, yeah, you stabbed me in the back, and now I'm coming with the blade. I'm going to cut you like sushi.
Well,
And I will
it's
be the
funny.
owner of
Well,
Miss
it's
Universe.
funny because this announcement was made a day after SEC forbade Anne from holding an executive position. So even though she assigned Nawat as the executive director, her decision was not valid, right?
Because she can't even do that in the first place.
Yes, it was still Mexico's Raul Rocha who was still leading, or the main head honcho of the organization. So that's why when I saw this press release, I was like, what? What is this going on? There's no communication going on between both hemispheres. Okay, it just doesn't make any sense. And whatever happened to like empowering women? I thought I just like nearly choked when I read this paragraph. We maintain clear structural and legal separation between our board and any external shareholders or partners. This independence ensures that MUO's governance remains transparent, ha 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 ha, consistent, ha 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 ha, and fully aligned with our purpose, empowering women around the world, ha 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 ha. Like,
My glass is more clear than the transparency that they have.
what are you drinking? Is that wine? Is that red wine? I want some.
This is, I cannot tell you.
What is
This
it?
is this is water, and Jesus
What?
did the miracle.
Well, sounds delicious.
Yeah.
No, this is Celsius.
So
grape.
basically,
Grape.
okay, good. So basically, the Western Hemisphere Missionaries Organization pretty much threw Anne under the bus because they claimed that they don't have anything to do with her decision, that she did not consult with the board of directors, that she's doing everything on her own. She's like micromanaging. She thinks she's 100% owns the company. Apparently not. So
I think that that's part of the problem that it's like, even with no title and no allowance to like execute that title, she's still like unwilling to let go of the pageant that she has single-handedly, because she bought it in 2022, has, really steered the wheel off to a cliff. And
Yeah, but this is the thing. Now, if this is not happening, what is going to happen with the the selection of appointments, that appointing people that was not approved by the board?
right.
Because that means then just saying that Papa Nawat, we need to say goodbye, because technically they did not agree on that.
Well, do you think he eventually will buy out Anne and have?
I think now what is gonna take over, guys, because he
Yeah.
is very intelligent. When he said, let me see if I remember, he said, if you compete in Miss Universe Thailand, you cannot compete in Miss Grand.
Right.
But if you compete in Miss Grand, you can compete in Miss Thailand.
Which is really stupid. Which is dumb.
It's like,
dumb.
you can compete in Miss Grand how many times you want, but once you hit Miss Universe Thailand, it's game over.
It's dumb because he's depriving young women to, for more opportunities, for empowerment. So it's just really dumb. And I don't think it's going to be easy for Raul to give up his shares, because he invested a lot of money in Miss Universe. He built a new Miss Universe headquarters in Mexico City. He just opened a new Miss Universe headquarters in New York. Okay, so it's not very easy to let go of those new buildings and just give up the entire Miss Universe organization and whatnot. Comments.
And Miss Universe also needs him, because when Miss Universe is in New York, she stays at his place. And so he is indispensable to some extent.
Exactly. Comment from Pokemon. Venus Singh unfriended Antonia and Opal since Nawat asked her to do so. Really? Is that true? Really?
What's the thing? What would you say?
Venus Singh, who is
that's right, yes. That she's ineligible now because
Nawat told her to unfriend Antonia and Opal. Like, what the hell is going on? Why? So childish. I'm so petty. Like, who cares?
But in the new statement, they said that no TPN girls could compete at Miss Universe Thailand, which would make Vina.
No, Vina is competing for Miss Universe Thailand.
That's right. But I think in the statement, they said that no girls who had competed at TPN can compete now at Miss Universe Thailand.
That's true, but she's an exception.
Oh, okay, exactly.
Because she was able to sell worth of 10 million Thai bahts on TikTok, selling, fish sauce and all this other stupid stuff. And that's why she was given a special exception case and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's competing. She still has to win her province, by the way.
Yeah.
So I bet you that competition is going to be fixed for her to win.
Yeah.
Then she advances to the nationals, and they're going to fix that nationals in order for her to win Miss Universe Thailand 2025. It's,
Yeah, but this
it's
is
all planned now. It's all planned.
but this is the thing. Are they going to
Miss Universe is going to be held in Thailand, and watch Miss Universe crowning Thailand as the winner. Would it be funny though if Thailand wins Miss Universe and Miss World this year?
Well,
Oh,
that
It's
is a very
possible.
interesting thing because it is possible that Opal will win Miss World. She has an opportunity, obviously, because there is competition. But I did say on, Instagram on your page, I was like, she did a smart move because she's become now the mega favorite to win. So, but yeah, if Miss Universe wins
So,
Thailand as well, then
okay, for the sake of argument, should Nawat 100% completely own Miss Universe, what's going to happen to Miss Grand? What do you think is going to happen to Miss Grand? Will it be
he's going to be clever.
downgraded? Will it
No,
play second fiddle now to Miss Universe? Because now he thinks that Miss Universe and Miss Grand are on the same level. So if he owns the Miss Universe, Miss Grand is going to shrink, right? Or how he's able to maintain both pageants at the same level?
it's all about the platform. He needs to keep the entertainment with Miss Graham because he's able to do it there. Versus Miss Universe have a legacy of being more elegant, not being a clown. So he needs that. He needs the money. So in order to continue his business, he's going to have a platform that is going to be dedicated to create superstars, like the theme for this year for Miss Grand Thailand. A new star is born, and then he's going to have a pageant that he will be able to continue push to see he can kind of fight Miss World. So he will have a pageant that can compete to any other pageant that can create a spectacle and create superstar versus, and then have a pageant that can create some continue a legacy for years that can continue more. So he will be intelligent. And he said it when he was doing the speech that Miss Grand is the Miss Universe is one and only, not that the copycats, blah, blah, blah. He technically was saying people there like, I know how to make the difference between Grand and Miss Universe. For me, that was like a preview of if I become the owner, I know how I'm going to play with these two pageants and get the money.
Okay. Well, eventually, should he own Miss Universe, he will have to hold Miss Universe outside of Thailand. It cannot stay in Thailand like every year. It's the same thing with Miss Grant. Miss Grant has to go out of Thailand if he really wants a further reach, like to Latin America, Europe. Who knows? Who knows? April 24th, he paid Miss Universe organization tons of money so he could keep the Thai franchise for the next 25 years. What does that say about him?
First of all, he is investing a lot of money in something that he knows that he's going to own. I'm sorry, but for me, that means that he's just preparing everything to own Miss Universe. You are not going to pay so much money to get a license for 25 years.
So do you think Miss Universe under his management will eventually become public, like Miss Grand? Miss Grand turned public like 3 years ago, and they started selling stocks.
I will not deny that he can do it, even though I don't agree with his techniques. Now, what is a man that whatever he do, he wants to put it in the map, and he might be the answer that Miss Universe needs right now to try to get out of the stale waters that Miss Universe is right now. Nobody cares about Miss Universe. It's all about Miss Cosmos. That is the reason that Nawat said copycats, because he knows that the threat, Miss Universe threat right now is Miss Cosmos, plain and simple.
What about Miss Charm? Isn't that a threat?
This is delicious. I'm thirsty. Hold on.
I love this drink.
What about Miss Planet International? Isn't that a threat?
Miss International Queen. What about Miss International Queen? Isn't that a threat?
That is definitely
that
is for Miss Universe, not for Miss Grand.
International Queen is a threat for Miss Universe because the inclusiveness. I have a question to ask. If Mr. Nawat becomes the owner of Miss Universe, what is going to happen with the inclusiveness?
I was wondering about that too. I was wondering about that. Do you think he will revert back to the old rules?
That would be nice.
Please,
yes, I agree.
Nobody kill me. I want that to happen.
Roger does not agree.
I want that to happen.
He's on the fence, you can tell.
No. If you are a trans, beautiful, amazing woman, go to International Queen. They have a great platform and they're doing great. This is the thing. In order for a brand to grow, they need to receive the support of their own people. Why do you want to spend a lot of money on a pageant that they are not going to give you the freaking crown? You will never become Miss Universe. You cannot relate with the woman. A trans person is not 100% the gender that you want to be. Medically proven.
Well, because there's still a lot of social stigma attached to a trans woman being Miss Universe or Miss World for that matter. I said it before when I did a vlog about this, you know, defending my views against this inclusion stuff. One of the reasons I mentioned was that it's almost inconceivable for a trans Miss Universe to go to a hospital filled with sick children and not expect the sick children to react to her, especially they know her story. So it's going to be very hard to touch people's heart with it. You have a trans queen. So that's why in a way it's perfectly logical to have a separate competition strictly for trans women. You know, for that matter. I mean, they have their own, I mean, let them stay in their own lane. Okay. That's what I'm saying. If you want to create space, I mean, I think pageantry is big enough to provide space for everybody, but there has to be like certain spaces, certain places where you cannot compete because it wouldn't be fair for the others. And also, it's true that I know that a lot of single young women do not want to compete with trans women. They don't, because they feel as if, you know, that opportunity, you know, is being taken away for them to win by somebody else. I don't know if Roger agrees, because, you know, he's like mum about that.
I probably have different views, but I mean, I think that there's all different sorts of diversity and inclusion, like the fact that mothers, married women can compete. I mean, like you could even argue that having a lesbian compete may not be inspiring for straight women because they don't feel that they have the same lived experience. And I know that gender is very different to all of those other things, but the whole notion of a pure miss, you know, the whole sort of, you know, olden days version of someone who's, you know, almost virginal and, you know, never given birth and all that sort of stuff. So there is some form of, I guess, breaking down those stereotypes. As Olivia Culpo said, I know that there would be some, you know, misconceptions about it, but look, yeah, there's definitely a sort of move back towards a bit more of a conservative approach. The UK Supreme Court defined a woman as what they're biologically born. So, yeah. So, look, I think that is, you know, definitely something that still needs further discussion. I think personally, just even I've actually had direct contact with Marina Machete, who was Miss Portugal from Miss Universe 2023. She had actually reached out to me directly on Instagram and it said, you know, that she watches my videos and all that sort of stuff. And I've had some really interesting conversations with her about just, you know, the one that all of the vitriol she receives, but she just, you know, she's prepared to stand up for that, for her own right to compete. And it's not necessarily about her winning the whole thing, but likewise with Angela Ponce, who said, you know, I don't need to win, I just need to be here. So look, I probably have a little bit of a different view that trans women want to just be able to compete with everyone else. I think beauty pageants is different than sports, where clearly, you know, trans women who may have gone through puberty have physical advantages and things like that. I don't think that there's a physical advantage for a trans woman. You know, I think that it just needs to be normalized to a certain extent. At the end of the day, someone's background, I mean, I think it just needs to be understood that they're a human being. They, you know, you know, they're just trying to live their life. So anyway,
and at the end of the day, they
get
have
off
to
my
run their
soapbox.
national pageant as well, you know, so like it has to go through
exactly.
the process. And so like
Yep.
they have to go through that. And once again, I feel like this goes to, I think it's a very complex issue, but at the end of the day, it goes back to like what I was saying earlier, is like this universe is a vibe, it's an attitude. And if a trans girl ever has that attitude, then she'll have it, you know? But I feel like so far we haven't seen a trans girl with that attitude of Miss Universe, you know. But I have to say, Marina had a fabulous walk and presses on stage, and she, you know, she did a really nice job. I don't think that she was going to get any further than that, but the
No.
fact that she was able to showcase who she is,
It's
I
interesting.
loved
It's
her walk.
interesting because there were no
Loved her walk.
there were no trans women that competed in Miss Universe last year,
That's right. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is weird. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but I interviewed Cataluna Enriquez 3 years ago when she was competing for Miss Nevada USA. She won Miss Nevada USA 2020 to 2021, and she becoming the first transsexual woman to compete on a Miss USA stage. And I remember one of, our discussion was very, very civil, and she understood where I was coming from. And I told her, listen, I think there's certain spaces for certain types of pageants, for pageant contestants. And I I told her I don't have any problem with transgender women competing in traditional female pageant as long as this person looks like a woman, sounds like a woman, behaves like a woman, and she has undergone complete sexual gender reassignment. I don't have any problem with that because at the end of the day, it's all about looks anyway. You cannot distinguish a a very effeminate looking trans woman from that of a biological woman. You cannot tell the difference. Look at Thailand. Thailand has tons of ladyboys who can pass up easily for real women. Okay. And so I told her, listen, I'm happy for you. I wish you good luck and everything. And then I was so happy when she represented the USA in Miss International Queen. And and to this day I was pissed that she did not win. She should have
Me
won.
too.
She should have won instead of that woman, I don't know, from Peru, whatever. No offense to Peru, but I thought Cataluna had it all. Okay.
Yes.
I hope she comes back to compete again. But yeah, so that's exactly what we talked about. As long as you sound and talk like a woman, you have your full operation, and you're legally considered as a woman, medically and legally, that's fine. Because eventually it boils down to image, really.
I'm a firm believer of LGBT rights and that you need to express yourself. And there's special cases, and I said, and I always stand by it. I don't agree on trans women competing in pageants, period. But the only exception that I have, and I always say, is the one from Spain,
Angela Ponce.
She was the real Angela Ponce. She was the real exception. This is my view, and I understand that they want to be heard. I completely understand that, and I'm all for LGBT. But this is the thing: support what you have. You have a pageant that has an amazing platform. Support that. That is the reason when Luna was competing international queen, I was like, yes, she's going to win. She's going to put the pageant in the map. She has a voice. Sadly to say she didn't got the title, but those are the platforms that you need to embrace your community. That's what I'm talking about. And I don't care if you're gay or lesbian and competing in a pageant as using the gender that you were given at birth, that's fine with me because your sexual attraction has nothing to do with what you can do with the title. My problem is that I'm putting, even though people say you have advantage when a man transition to a woman, your skin is different, muscle mass is different. You do have an advantage. That is the reason in sports we have in this situation. In order for a trans person be equal to the gender that they want to be, especially from male to female, you need to be years transitioning, cannot be recent. This is something that I dealt with in the medical field every day. It's not something that I'm just pulling out of my hat. So that is the reason I believe, and I respect Roger's opinion because it's valid. I don't say, and I want to make emphasis on that. If you're a trans woman, please support International Queen. Go to a pageant that they're gonna literally accept you for who you are, and they will give you a chance to compete. Miss Universe will not crown a trans person, a full figure person, a married woman. Stop being blinded by they want they want your money. They don't want you.
I
You
love
know,
the
one
inclusion.
Miss World will keep us
I love the
shaming.
inclusion aspect. I think that it creates
Mhm.
diversity and opportunity, but I don't think that the organization is going to be willing to crown a trans woman or a mother. That it's lovely to see them compete because it just I feel like someone being an opportunity to go after their dream is beautiful. It is. It's just I don't know, it's extraordinary to me. But I feel like it would be nice if the organization was actually authentic with their intentions and willing to give them an opportunity, and actually crown them. But I feel like if you're just including them like they did with what was her name? Colombia 2023.
The married woman.
Mhm.
Yeah,
With
Camila.
Camila.
like that was an inclusion I don't know, transaction, whatever it is, because um there's a lot of things to really take in when you consider a mother being crowned, her family, what's going to happen. I think this universe is an incredibly draining job for someone who also has the responsibility of being a mother. And I feel like a woman should, like Empule said, a woman should be able to celebrate her femininity. Absolutely. It would be nice that the organization is actually honest with their intentions and not just using this for profit. And I feel like that is what I have a problem with is they're just utilizing the DEI ideologies to generate as they say, I mean
Publicity. It's all about
they were,
publicity.
they
Yeah.
were recorded, on a board meeting.
Yeah, we know that. We saw
saying
it. The whole world saw it.
the whole world saw it and no one really talked about it, but I mean they pretty much explained themselves like the whole reason behind it. And so that is what I'm like, if you're not honest about it, I don't really believe you. So why are you giving false hope to these girls? And that's what I don't appreciate about the whole thing. But I love the fact that anyone is being the opportunity to compete, because as the beauty of human experience is I can go for what I want.
And related to your what you just said, JD,
What I said.
you have Miss International Queen and other pageants, specialized for trans women. Will they ever accept a biological woman in trans pageants? If you want to talk about inclusion,
Well,
that's
I feel like that is where like the whole consciousness aspect is very different, it's like you're dealing with a different mentality. And so
George Pageant Empress is asking, what are your thoughts on trans men joining male pageants? Mr.
Mhm.
Brazil has the first trans contestant this year. I saw his photo and he looks hot. He looks like a
He looks
real
amazing.
girl.
He looks
and so
He
you
doesn't look
approve.
effeminate. He sounds like a real
Mm-mm.
man. Okay. So if you want to have a trans man, that's exactly the kind of trans man that you want. Okay. Not a half trans woman, half trans man, a full trans man. Okay. No, we don't know. We don't even know if he had like his full sexual reassignment surgery. But you know what? At this, it really doesn't matter because again, it's all about looks.
Well, he
Well,
The first time you
I
look at
didn't
him, oh my God,
he
you talk about
definitely
he's
had
a man.
a
He
he
looks like a
definitely
man.
like he doesn't have breasts.
I didn't saw the scar on his
I didn't see that
arm.
either, or on his thigh
So
stuff.
so that means that little part is not being added into the picture.
And that's fine. That there are trans men who prefer not to have full surgery, and that's fine
Mhm.
because they want to live their lives as men. And they're not offended. They're not offended if you tell them, well, you're actually a female still. I know, but I prefer to live myself as a man. I know I'm still a woman inside, but I prefer to live my life as a man, and I look like a man. I don't have any
But
problem
this
with
is
that.
kind of
That's
funny
fine.
for me. This is kind of funny for me because, and I know this is going to sound bad maybe for some people, but this is kind of funny. This is the first trans man that we know in history that is going for a major male pageant. He goes on international level, but you don't see trans men fighting for being in Mr. World or Mr. Supra or Mr. Here and there. Everything is happening in the Miss pageant.
Well, we're looking for that.
And-
We're looking forward to that day. I think eventually it will happen. Just watch.
Might happen, but I mean, we don't have a trans men international pageant, so okay. When they create that one, then okay, bye. You have your own pageant. But again, it's so much that a woman needs to fight to compete that now needs to fight to somebody else because again, the inclusiveness. I don't know. I think
Alejandro says biologically and mentally no to transgender competing to natural born men and women. We wanted to have equal opportunity, but guys, that's very wishful thinking, just like world peace. Pageant Empress, Mr. Brazil has a girlfriend. And, well, it's only natural because he's cute, he's hot. But whatever goes, but whatever happens in the bedroom, it's really none of our business. Okay.
of course not. How many LGBT people are being competing on international stage?
Pick your own cherries, people. It's not
your own cherry.
Yeah.
You can pop them.
The world, Coochie says the world is ending. I love that statement. The world is ending in caps.
The universe,
oh my
rather.
God.
It's funny.
And the cosmos is beginning.
Roger, I was actually watching your top 10 performances, and you include Pia.
Rafa, name a biological woman who looks gay enough to join Miss International Queen. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Look gay enough? Kucha, you better explain yourself because I don't even understand the question.
That look gay enough?
Yeah, gay enough to join Miss International
This
Queen.
has nothing to do about how gay do you look.
Sexual orientation and
it's
gender
all
identity.
about, it has nothing to do with looks,
oh
Kuchi.
my Lord. You
it
know
has nothing
what?
to do with looks.
We're gonna send Michelle with her haircut.
We're gonna send JD to Miss International Queen. JD, would you like to compete for Miss International Queen?
You know, I'm gonna take
Do I go up because I'm the youngest? Is that why? Because I'm the one that has time for transition.
And I think you look good in drag.
Wilfredo, with the surgeries today, with like facial feminization, transitioning, what used to take 12 years is now taking like 2 or 3.
Exactly, because there's medicine has evolved and advanced. I'm sorry, that question about who looks the gayest. Oh my Lord, I can't with people. No.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Please, because I'm gonna say something and I'm getting low on this.
Yes, you need to top that up, Wilfredo.
Okay, people. Okay,
I feel like that's part of the. I feel like that's part of why the whole topic in itself is such a complicated issue, because people always connect it back to that. It's like, oh, it's like a gay man competing, and so that is why I feel like on a universal spectrum, I feel like the topic of being trans is such a divisive issue, is because people are very unaware of the distinctions between all spectrums, and being gay and being trans are not the same thing, but people in a lot of societies still confuse it too. And so I feel like that is why in itself trans is such a divisive issue, is because it's a lot of ignorance about it, or just like people don't know how to tell the difference.
Fear.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, that comment is so freaking ignorant. Who looks the gayest or whatever? You know what? Somebody smack that person up. Moving on.
Is talking, your Celsius is getting you a little tipsy.
You know what? I need ice. I'll be right back.
Should I call 911?
No, I think he's going to get something a bit stronger.
He's gonna go to the
Go a tequila shot.
I cannot do people.
Let's have shots all around.
He's drinking a pre-workout drink. You're gonna have so much energy after this call.
I always have much.
He's gonna be buzzing off. He's gonna be watching Miss Universe videos nonstop
until 4 a.m.
Until 4.
Somebody is asking, what do you guys think of a Miss Universe Latina?
Oh,
Oh
I
my,
hate that.
don't
Oh my
get
Or
me
God.
Miss
started.
But
Universe.
I feel like this is the Western hemisphere planning this without the Asian side of it, because who is coming up with these ideas over in Asia? Who's coming up with these ideas over in Latin America? It doesn't make any sense. The whole concept of having Miss Universe is that there's always a one country vies for the crown. That has always been the case.
Exactly.
Every pageant year. Why? Like, how are you going to justify having two Venezuelans or two Colombians or two Peruvians? How are you going to justify that? It's an already a very unfair.
I mean, first of all, that's stupid.
It's just
That
really
is the stupid. It's
ridiculous.
ignorant because it's like, I mean, it's like let me. I mean, it's look like we're gonna do the Americas, we're gonna do all the Latinas, and then we're gonna choose the ambassador for the Americas, and we're gonna choose this particular person and throw them to the rest of the continent. That is stupid. Again, it's money. They tried this before with Miss USA number 52.
I remember. Yeah. It
What
didn't
was Miss
last.
USA number 52?
It was only 1 year. Miss
Oh,
52, Miss USA 52.
yeah, that was
Yeah, it
the
was open to past Miss USA contestants that did not place. So they invited all these girls to compete, and whoever won Miss USA 52 got to compete in Miss USA. I forgot that year was 2012 or 2011 or something like that.
Oh,
yeah.
gotcha.
That's ignorant. I mean,
She
I
didn't
don't
even win. She
see.
didn't place.
No, I don't see the. I don't see Europe is like, oh, we're gonna choose Miss Europe Universe.
Yeah. If there's gonna be a Miss Universe Latina, why not a Miss Universe
Caucasian.
Asia or Miss Universe Oceania,
Asia.
Miss Universe
I
Africa,
mean,
Miss Universe
I mean that is
Antarctica?
I
that
feel
is
like
a.
we
I
all agreed that
mean,
the idea just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't
they
make
don't
any
even
sense.
have a
Completely,
director for
JD.
USA. Needless to say, they're gonna have a director for US Miss USA Latina or Universe Latina. Please, you know what?
But like
Go
I
Cosmos.
feel like this is like where I feel like I feel like the national directors, are they afraid to speak up? Are they afraid to file a lawsuit against the organization? Because I feel like that is when you're messing with,
Yeah.
franchises and stuff.
They probably signed a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA.
But
Yeah.
I feel like that's the problem. I feel like Miss Universe is getting away with a lot, and I feel like these, for some reason, Raul and Anne have made it that the national directors are almost kind of like afraid of them, like they want to kiss their ass, and like and so it's a little baffling to me because I'm like, they're getting away with things that I feel on a corporate level are just unacceptable.
Well, the fact that Kunan in the middle of the press conference says, "Aren't you happy now? We just crowned a blonde woman," which seemed like it was predetermined the whole time. Let's
Right.
not go back to Victoria too much, but it was almost like she was picked before the pageant. Which blonde girl are we going to anoint as the winner this year? And so at the press conference, it's like, "Are you happy now? This is the ultimate evolution." And now it's almost like they're trying to correct the course to say, "Oh, we were only temporarily favoring the blonde hair, blue eyes. Now let's get a Latina in as well," just to make it clear that we're not being, too favoring one look over the other. I mean, let alone what all the African queens and national directors think. They're just not in the discussion whatsoever. It's just, this is really where, for me, you just appreciate like how much Paula Sugart had a really tight lid on the Miss Universe organization. You took it for granted. All of these different factors that you're having to deal with running an international organization with 90, 100 national directors now, it just worked perfectly. And, you didn't see all of this BS happening because it probably got nipped in the bud before it became public knowledge. I mean, it's just the genie's out of the bottle.
I totally agree. Talking about Paula Sugart, she recently attended the Global Beauty Awards that took place in Washington State. And then she was interviewed by Luz Sierra. Remember our good friend Luz Sierra, the former Miss Universe catwalk coach? And she was hosting on the red carpet. And then she asked, Paula was actually promoting a new American pageant, Miss All America pageant, which is based in South Carolina in Charleston, and it's debuting in August. And she mentioned, what do you think? What she was asked, what do you think? What makes a good pageant? She said, well, if the pageant organization cares about the women and put their priorities first and help them grow you know, in their advocacies and personal growth, that, you know, will make a good pageant, which is not exactly what Miss Universe is doing these days, or even Miss USA is not doing these days, you know, and I totally agree with her. So can Miss Universe be saved? That's the question we all need to ponder before Thailand. Pageant Empress says, Connor Perry, the first runner-up Miss USA 2024, is competing in Miss Universe Israel in Florida. Really? She's Israeli? She's part Israeli? I didn't know that. That's interesting. Well, she's black. Okay, she represented Kentucky, and I thought she should have won. She was just so stunning. She should have won. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Also, by the way, Miss Universe Israel is taking place outside of Israel. And there are 3 or 4 other pageants that are taking place outside the countries that they're supposed to be representing. Now, this is one thing that also bothers me ever since JKN Global took over. They changed all the rules. Now you get, you know, a girl can be crowned outside the country that's just representing, like Pakistan, who else? Bahrain, and then United
Armenia.
Arab Emirates, I think. Yeah, Armenia. The franchise was owned by some Russian woman who did not have any connections with Armenia, and there was like
then Persia instead of Iran.
Exactly. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, when did these rules change? I just don't understand. And anybody can be a national director if you just have enough money. If you want to comply 100% with all the rules and regulations of Miss Universe, then give us the money and we'll give it a franchise. It doesn't matter what country. Pick your country. All right. You know what? I'm going to apply for a franchise for Palau, the Republic of Palau.
Do it.
In the Pacific Ocean, okay? Nobody has represented
Papua New Guinea. You're going to be the franchise director of Papua New Guinea.
Yes, they can make a return.
Revive Papua New Guinea. Viewers, if you want to own a franchise with Miss Universe, which country, which is
I wish you weren't greetings from the island of Papua New Guinea. My name is Rafa Delphin.
Would you want to take? Comment below. What country would you want to take as franchise? Okay. Yeah, so Palau has not competed before. I know Samoa has competed before, but they're not very active anymore.
They competed last year, Rafa.
Oh, that's right. And she was okay. What about Northern Marianas?
She should make a comeback.
Has been in Marianas for a while. Guam? What happened to Guam?
Cook Islands.
What about Bermuda? Oh my God, when was the last time?
Yes, first runner-up.
Hello. That should be an easy country to maintain, to manage.
Yes.
Like a dinky little country anyway, right? I'm sure the franchise probably cost like somewhere between, I don't know, $3,000, $5,000. Easy peasy, you know. What else? What about the territory of Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon of Canada, of the Canadian coast? Nobody.
You know what? I want the franchise of North Pole. Gonna send Miss Close to compete.
The North Pole.
North Pole. Gonna send Miss Universe North Pole over there. She will give gifts to everybody.
What about the Falkland Islands? Nobody has Falkland Islands. It's not gone.
Everybody's gonna be looking at the maps right now. Where?
I'm like, that's what I'm doing.
What about the Isle of Man? Can you imagine a trans woman competing as Isle of Man?
Yes.
Too funny.
Lesbo Island.
All right, this is crazy.
Greenland.
Oh God.
Crazy. Miss Universe North Korea.
Is that where it is? Falkland Land in Greenland?
Donald Trump can compete as Miss Greenland.
Miss Universe North Korea.
There's Miss Universe North Korea.
Before we move on, you know, because I just remember this, talking about Donald Trump, in connection with like how that connection with the contestants was kept very professional. I feel like there's been a lot of beauty queens meeting the owners before the pageant has taken place, and I was really interested about that because I was like, you never saw that happen with Donald Trump or any of the girls meeting with, I guess, the owner at that point, 2016 IMG. You never saw them like meeting the girls, and so it does feel to me like they're going through this almost like an interview process even beforehand. And I understand that. I just feel like it's an incredibly unfair process because
absolutely
girls get invited to these things. Not all the girls from the last edition got invited to the headquarters in Mexico. Feels like they selected a few. And yes, and Victoria went to Thailand to meet Anne by herself.
She
And
went there. She went
so
twice.
she went twice. And so I feel like there's definitely a lot of once again, I feel like
Buying favoritism.
yeah. I feel
Exactly.
like there's actually a lot of broken rules and a lot of I don't know, civil rights, human rights, whatever rights these fall under. I feel like there's definitely an opportunity to continue to bring this up because I'm like, how much are they gonna get away with?
Right.
You know?
It's loose. This is the problem. That's why, it's ever since non-Americans took over Miss Universe, everything just went down.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that someday it will return to American management, but we need to find that American company, that American person.
The American tycoon.
Yeah, a rich tycoon who happens to love pageants. I mean,
Yep.
Donald Trump is out of the picture because he's doing too many better things to do than managing a pageant. And then, yeah, I mean, we need to find somebody. Maybe Elon Musk would be interested. Who knows? I don't know.
Oh, hell no. I mean, sorry, no.
Why not?
Look,
He loves beautiful women too.
Biological women.
Yeah, like he's like
are you sure?
he's the richest man in the world. I mean, how does it cost? How much would it cost like a great production of Miss Universe per year? Average maybe like $50 million. I mean, that's nothing.
50?
50 million
50.
dollars to produce a decent Miss Universe pageant per year. That's nothing for him. That's like a penny. Okay. So anyway, we just want some. I just want order and structure and good
No,
management
this is
back.
the thing.
That's all I
Like Judy
want.
was saying
I don't care
something
who
like
runs it, but I want all those three things back.
a lot.
I feel like that's also part of the problem is like there's like essentially three owners now, three people with their own
Exactly.
different opinions. And so it's like who's running the show? Nobody, because these over here are actually fighting with the ones on the other side and throwing each other under the bus, which I think going back to like what we were saying earlier with Victoria, I feel like that's part of the reason why I think her reign hasn't been successful is because she's caught up in like the middle of two fighting parents essentially, and she has no guidance, and it's very clear that she has no guidance, no one to really.
Did you
Do
gu-
they
did you
even have a
yeah did you guys
chaperone?
know
Do they even
did you
have a
guys notice
chaperone
too?
nowadays? That is my question. Do they even have a chaperone?
Yeah, she has a chaperone. That nasty Mexican woman. Her name is Diana. I mean,
Oh,
she's like a butch lesbian. She has like long
okay.
hair. She's really very muscular and stuff. She looks very scary. She does very look scary. So she's your chaperone. Now,
Mm.
did you guys notice that Victoria has not been using the company jet to travel? They only use the company jet when a Miss Universe executive travels with Victoria. But I haven't seen any Miss Universe executive travel with Victoria since Mexico.
And what about this travel program that she was meant to be hosting?
Whatever happened to that?
Yeah, at the press conference, there was just going to be this, the winner's going to be traveling the world. Maybe she's recording these episodes, but I mean, what is she now? 5 months into her reign, and we haven't seen anything yet.
What rain? Is just what rain? Please come on.
Listen, I get
Well,
it.
it seems like
I get it.
the continental queens are overshadowing her now.
They are. I get it. Sheynnis's reign really started like May, June. That's when it really kicked off because that's when she started traveling and it was like nonstop. But even before that, she had like 4 or 5 months of doing videos in New York City talking about like random things like how to glue your eyelashes, just making something up. But just very
Or she would promote well, I saw a video of her just recently promoting the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Tokyo. I saw that video clip.
Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria
Yeah.
promoting.
Yeah.
Hello guys, should you
But
be in Tokyo? I recommend that you stay at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. It's really beautiful.
But another thing,
Women's empowerment.
she's here. But another thing, she's
Yeah.
here in luxury when the girls are actually doing like visits to like orphanages and stuff in the Philippines.
Exactly.
And so it's like you're using these girls to do the job that the Miss Universe should be doing. And so it's like once again, it's like I feel like they're just like so off
You're
in
taking away the
But
spotlight from her.
but
yeah,
that is
they
the
are.
reason
They are.
why that is the reason why Miss Universe is going down. A queen needs to get their hands dirty. They need to do what they need to do. A pageant needs to have their own platform And every country and every national director needs to have their queens working for that advocacy. So when they go to the international pageant, they focus on that platform. Again, you know, it's not a secret that some international owners meet with certain girls every year, and that happens for more than 20 years now. It's not a secret that when they like one, they reach out to the party. That's not a secret. That's not something new. The thing is that Miss Universe is not doing good at all. This Miss Universe is just pretty. She's just pretty.
Yes.
And in order to make,
But that's the
you
thing.
need to have a queen that you can make money of it, not just to be pretty. Because of that, you need to call it the Miss Universe top model. You don't talk, you just walk, you are skinny, do this, pose like that, and that's it.
Which I'm fine with, but I don't think that if Victoria is even understanding that if that is her brand, then exploit that. Be like, guys, I have this idea for a photo shoot. I want to create this. I want to do this. I want to like send me out to fashion shows, send me out to work with designers, like I feel like this is also like where preparing, ahead of time for Miss Universe. And I think that also she doesn't have the support of her national director, right? Like it feels like that connection has been severed.
Right.
And so I feel like that's also part of like what's happening. She doesn't have guidance from either side. And so I feel for her because I feel like she's gorgeous. I was really happy when she won. But once again, I feel like they're just not really learning. I think that they had an idea of how they thought it was going to go, and it just hasn't gone that way. Because I feel like they had the idea she's going to win. We're going to compete with Miss World. We're going to take over Europe. And unfortunately, the fandom and the interest of beauty pageants in Europe just does not work.
Doesn't exist.
I feel like Iris Mittener was a really successful Miss Universe because it was owned by IMG, a little bit more order, and just more money involved.
Yeah.
But I feel like
and Miss France franchise is another thing. Miss France
Very strong.
pageant
also really well
is a
run.
beautiful spectacle. They like natural beauty. It's a different ball game. So that is the reason France did so well, and I was happy when she won. But again,
She also had a lot of personality.
Exactly, and this is the thing, Miss. They need if they're going to send a contestant from any strong country or powerhouse country, they're sending to Miss World, to Miss Cosmos. Don't waste your time, because apparently being a good spokesperson or have a great platform like Antonia did, like Puerto Rico did, like Philippines did, Michelle did, among other contestants, that doesn't apply anymore. So, for example, like, Catriona, she worked hard with her platform. She was an excellent Miss Universe Philippines. Yes, she won Miss Universe, but I can guarantee you that if she will have won Miss World, putting Puerto Rico aside because she's the one that won, but if putting Puerto Rico outside the picture, if she will have won Miss World, I think Catriona's career as queen would evolve. And that is the reason why I say to girls, you need to evaluate who you are. Like, for example, Atisa. Hi, Atisa, by the way. I know you're in the chat. I know what I said, and I keep it because she always
It's not the real Atisa Manalo, by the way.
Okay, whatever. I don't care. Let's say that she's the real one. But for me, Atisa needs to go to Miss World. She's not a Miss Universe material. She is a Miss World material. She speaks. She has a platform.
Or Miss International, which she already went for.
Yeah, but Miss Internet, you know what? Hold on.
No, but her pageants are Miss International and Miss World. She already went to Miss International.
Yeah,
I feel like
Miss International is something else. Is something else. It's not even in this equation anymore. Thank you to Steven. You're welcome. But
Wilfredo, I have a question for you.
Wilfredo is very triggered right now.
Should Atisa Manalo win Miss Universe Philippines 2025, will you apologize to her supporters?
Hell to the no. I stand by it. She is not Miss Universe material. She's a Miss World material. She has she has the quality to be a spokesperson, not to waste her time in a pageant that number one is not for her. Number two, she was evaluated by the creme of the creme that owned Miss Universe before when she competed in Cosmos. She didn't want Miss Cosmos.
True.
So with that being said, I will not apologize.
Well, different pageant, different judges, different time.
She needs
Happens.
to go to Miss World and period. If you want her to win an international crown be successful, she needs to switch pageants and go to Miss
But you have to
Philippines.
have your heart set for Miss World. She doesn't have her heart set for Miss World. She has her heart set for Miss Universe.
Well,
So-
hopefully she is ready to clap and sell a lot of fish sauce because she is not Miss Universe. I see girls right now. She look a little better, but
So
still,
did you guys
still
watch
nothing.
the Netflix documentary A Queen's Runaway about the Miss Universe Philippines 2024 pageant? You need to watch it because it's very good. It's very well done. And I thought it was very well produced because it really shows you in depth what the girls have experienced, all the preparations, the training, the hard work, lack of sleep, lack of, yeah, basically, I think 2, 3 girls dropped out because they couldn't stand the heat. But yeah, very good. A very good Netflix production. Question: what are your thoughts on Jonas Goffwood? Jonas Goffwood is the president of Miss Universe Philippines, not to do the introduction in provincial style. Oh, they're not going to mention the province that they're representing. I don't know. Does it really matter how they introduce themselves? I mean, I'm fine with just introducing.
As in the sashes.
Yeah, I'm just introducing, just introducing their names. I'm fine with that. They don't have to shout the names of the province or the city they're representing. Now, if Nawat takes over Miss Universe, do you think that he will allow the girls to do the introduction, the grand style?
Nah, she needs to keep it separate.
Miss Universe,
it lasts for a minute long. It lasts for a minute long.
Miss Universe, Palau.
Nah, I think he's gonna keep it separate because if not, he's gonna lose the winning formula of
Uniqueness.
having two pageants that have two different things. So
this is to the I feel like the answer to the question, will Miss Universe be saved? I feel like if he does own Miss Universe, okay, he needs to bring someone who knows about Miss Universe and is going to help him bring Miss Universe back to its roots, like Wilfredo said. He needs someone that is going to help him do that. And if they don't hire a creative director or consultant who's actually going to do that, and if they're putting him in charge of doing that altogether, I don't think Miss Universe is going to succeed. They need to bring a historian, a creative consultant, someone who loves Miss Universe and is going to bring back the golden age of Miss Universe to the modern era with his money, his production value. I feel like that's the only way that Miss Universe can be saved.
Well, Nawat can take over, and then he can hire Paula Sugar back as president.
Well, it seems like someone in that sort of network for sure. I feel like having Paula is very useful because the connections that she has to these production, all these things. And I feel like this is a little bit of like Devil Wears Prada, where like I'm sure like when she left, a lot of people also went with her in terms of loyalty and and investors and donors and all these things.
Sponsors.
And so
yeah.
But the thing is, like, Paula Sugar wants a girl that is a philanthropist. It's a person that is involved in the community that they can use their title to help others, to be the voice for others. And that is the reason they have already different organizations that they will become a spokesperson to it. And that is the reason why Miss Universe was well known. HIV, Meals on Wheels, and here the Smile Project here and there. Miss Universe has nothing. Every year they change something. Today is confidentially beautiful. Next year will be eyes are better. And then here and there. They have no identity at this point. Miss Universe has no identity as a pageant.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No,
At all.
Smile Train actually withdrew from Miss Universe because they didn't want to associate themselves anymore with the new
And
management.
they are with Miss Cosmo.
Miss
I wouldn't
Cosmo.
either. I wouldn't either. You know,
Thank
I
you,
mean,
Paula Sugar.
Miss Universe was lucky to get that new crown sponsor, Jewel Mayer. They were very lucky to have Jewel Mayer. But other than that, what are the other major sponsors? Bingo Plus. What else? That's it, right? Not
They
much.
don't have any sponsors. I mean,
Jojo.
For guys' shoes, shoe wear.
Yeah.
You know, all Asian-based sponsors. So it's so sad.
And you can see it with like just even the swimsuits over the last 3-4 years. They're awful. They're just like horrible. Like
well,
I'm gonna go back to the 90s swimsuits. Like
last year's swimsuit were
Catalina.
good.
body, you know,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, look at that, body for hours. Like you
Even
knew
the
that you had
swimsuits from the 80s, the Catalina swimwear was
Yeah.
I think so
yes,
like
Catalinas. They
elegant.
were
Classic. Yeah.
figure perfect. Like
Roger
the
just got
shoes.
happiness.
I know.
Do you guys
That's what I'm
Some
remember?
talking
viewing party,
about.
JD.
He knows what I'm talking about.
Some viewing
Actually,
party.
Someone who
One of-
understands me.
Yes.
one of my favorite swimsuits or swimsuit sponsors. Do you remember 2006 when Zuleika won Miss Universe?
That's really
Hello.
The swimsuit montage.
Really?
Oh, that was
The
amazing.
leopard swimsuits. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had all these wonderful, beautiful accessories, you know, with bangles,
Mhm.
necklaces, earrings, and they did the same thing too in Miss Universe 2010 in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Again, Fadil Barisha, excellent, you know, photographer and whatnot, and did amazing things. So bring back those glory days.
But that is the thing. But when you see the olden days pageants, when Miss Universe, Miss USA, Mr. USA was the creme on the la creme in America, especially when the money was because of is work for them. You know, Miss World has Europe, so America needed something, and that was
And
Miss
Africa.
Universe.
Yeah.
The swimsuits were appealing. I remember seeing Miss USA, and even though not all of them have a nice walk, but when you're talking about body, and that the swimsuit is like painted, and you saw like every time you say Miss USA, at that time you will think healthy physique. It's like you have legs for hours. You would say Venezuela would be an Amazonian beauty with 25,000 surgeries, but she looked like a Barbie. You see a Caribbean queen, she had that sazon, that flavor. You know, you will see like the different identities of every country. Now everybody wants to be a drag queen on stage. They want to walk like an Asian queen when they don't understand you cannot walk like an Asian queen because your body is not like them. They need to do something extra to grow on stage. You already have it. You know, it's different. I think they need to start going back to the introduction of themselves and their country, national costumes,
Yes.
bring the elegance, the sassiness, you know, real singers, music stars, you know, top 10, cut that 21, just cut top 10. Let's see who are the best of the best. Put the scores on the
Yes,
TV.
I agree.
Totally.
And
I was
that's
talking
it.
with Rafa on our call the first time we spoke, and I was like, they need to go back to how they did it in the past. Top 10, top 12, then all those girls compete in swimwear, swimsuit, and
Yeah.
a finalist
Interview.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
The
fun.
semifinalist interview is so
Proper
important
interview.
because you get the whole point of that is like we would get to the whole voting on that was their charisma. That was Bob Barker would always say it. This is an opportunity for the girls to be judged on
Showcase your
charisma,
personality.
the
Yep.
personality. And they all had the same chance. Some years, like it was so close, like all the girls would be like in 9.2, 9.3, 9.4. Like 93 was one of those years. 94 was one of those years where like
And you remember,
the difference
those
was like
girls
very minimal.
doing the interview. You remember those girls.
You
To
do.
this
Yes.
day,
And you knew who
34,
was going to make it
35
into the
years
top
later,
5.
I still remember that interview because they made such an impact on me.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know,
I
not anymore in
remember
the
Like
last
you
10
also get
years.
to like you get to understand like I saw the interview for 82 and I was like I always saw the clip of Guam and Canada and I was like I
Canada.
don't understand like why Guam would be because I think visually you were like this is, and then I saw the
Heard her speak.
interview and you're like I get it. I understand the whole point of like why some girls that you see from the past and you're like I don't know why they won and you get it. You understand why like Rena Messing
exactly
76 like just so much personality. But I feel like
because
going back to that format is going to be really
it's a
helpful.
pageant. You need a spokesperson. You don't. The girl's not gonna be on a swimsuit and high heels 24/7 or doing pirouettes in every convention and presentation. You need to have a presence. You need to have uh, this it factor that when you go in a room, everybody needs to be quiet because Miss Universe is there. The queen has arrived and she's coming with the message. She's coming with something that you need to listen. And that is the reason success. If you look in the history of Miss Universe, the ones that are being successful, especially within the media, TV, drama, in arts, are the ones that when they went to speak, it's not because they were intelligent. It's just because they knew how to communicate.
Right.
And that is the reason they're still successful. Look up Brooke Mahalaneli.
Yeah.
She's been one of the most down-to-earth Miss USA, my favorite one ever, and Miss Universe. When she said, I will eat, and I will eat twice.
I will eat everything twice.
I mean, I'm like, I love her. And she's still relevant. Olivia Culpo won not because she was the best walker. She won because she was commercial, because when she opened her mouth, she knew what to say in a respectful way. So she won. When Dayanara won, she didn't won because she was just beautiful, because when she was talking, she was herself. She wasn't with the theatrical. She wasn't like too perfect. I remember when she go, and Puerto Rico had this and this and that. Are you going to interpret? I said, she won. She won.
And then when she won, her head was too small for the crowd.
It was.
My crowd, my crowd. So I remember that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Alicia Machado, even though she's one of the worst Miss Venezuela ever, because she prepared herself to win, not to do the work, what gave her the crown over Aruba, even though Aruba was my favorite in Finland, what gave Alicia Machado the crown wasn't because she was the best intelligent response. It's because she was so confident on her own belief, and her ego and her self-esteem was to the roof, that she would say, cockroach, cockroach, aloha, and she's still winning because she believed herself. I mean, they are here watching me because I'm beautiful. I say, okay, she have confidence. Give her the crown. I mean, she prepared herself to win, not to do the job. But again, when you have the olden days pageants, you are able to see the essence. That is the reason Miss World, you see, still do interview is the number one thing in the leading board when they do the scores.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to see, because that is the disadvantage. If you prepare yourself to be a diva, what we call it in Puerto Rico, a perra, on the stage, that is only going to take you to top 5. When the times come to talk, it's a different ball game, people. So what about the ones that know how to do a great interview? Maybe are not that sassy on stage, but those are the ones that are going to bring you the money, and people will be able to connect with them because they know how to communicate. You left them behind just because.
But this is the thing now, that the hosts are not, they're just TV hosts. Like, you remember when Bob Barker used to make the announcements for I noticed in Mexico, Olivia and Mario, they were like 20 meters away at the side of the stage. They weren't even with the contestants, let alone doing a back and forward interview. Like, not only Bob Barker, but Bob Goen, Dick Clark, like they actually had a rapport with the contestants, and you could really see their personality more. And that's really what you're saying, Wilfredo. Like, it's about actually having a sense of who they are, that how they can respond spontaneously to questions, not how much that they've practiced their 25-second, back and forward, and they say something, let the interpreter speak. Like, it's a completely different thing. That's not what, you talk about Victoria, she was very, she had that sort of well-coached, talking to the answers, but there was no substance to it. And let alone actually trying to have a back and forward conversation with her. I think that she wouldn't have had any chance. But that's really where you could see, like, Barbara Palacios, just that interview she did, talking about Mi Nombre es Panama, like, you know, all of that sort of stuff. They're the things that you remember. Like, do we remember anything that any
Celia
of the queens in the
Boloco.
last 10 years? Yes, exactly. Doing her little, you know,
And she
spiel
goes
for her.
into Bob's ear and she's like, oh,
Exactly.
doing it.
Exactly.
That's the thing is like the
That's the
girls
stuff
who
you
knew
remember.
how to get the ball and he would throw it at them, and the ones who knew what he was doing, they would grab it and they would win because
100%.
he would help the ones that he knew had it.
Exactly.
And
It
that
was
is
a bit
what
of favoritism in a way.
there
But
is, but he knew who had it and who didn't, and he was going to help them get
absolutely.
far. And I feel like that is why I feel like going back to that format is so wonderful, because if you have a host who builds that connection with the contestants, they feel comfortable. You get to know who they are before before you like hour and a half passes by before you even hear them speak now. And I'm like, you want to get to know who they are. Like they did. I think the production of this year was terrible because I feel like there's been more host involvement in 2022 and 2023. I feel like the three girls, Maria, Olivia, and
Jeannie Mai.
Salvador, they were vibing it. It was so fun. And even
I didn't like that at
2022.
all. No.
Oh, really? But I enjoy the fact
I
that
didn't
they're
like that at
involved
all.
in it. I enjoy the fact
Maria,
that
I thought
interact.
Maria was out of place. She was
But I
like
feel
she was like a third wheeler that was brought in at the last minute. You know,
Yeah,
I was fine
They
with
felt
Olivia and
more
Jeannie Mai.
embedded into it, though.
yeah,
I
but
think that you just leave Olivia and the other one and take the third one out. And then they can leave
Two is enough.
Catriona and the other one as co-hosts behind the scenes.
Sorry.
They're great.
Zuri Hall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those
I love
four are good
Katrina
to
and
go.
Zuri. But
They
I feel
should
like
be
I feel like they
next year.
should go into a male host. Not what was Steve Harvey? Not Steve Harvey.
No, he's out.
He's out, but I really enjoy this aspect of like a male host bringing that balance into the
Yeah.
competition. I
Exactly.
really enjoy that.
What about bring back Andy Cohen?
No.
Yeah.
No,
I don't
No.
you need a gay host.
So you need like Ryan
Yeah.
Seacrest. You need like a Ryan Seacrest. That's who you need.
Okay.
That kind of
You
caliber.
need somebody that literally knows how to turn the table, make it interesting on the
Yes.
interview. I mean, I prefer
Someone who's
to
good at improv.
Anderson Cooper would be amazing. He's gay, he's hot.
Anderson Cooper would be good.
Anderson would be good.
He looks like a seagull.
But he would be a good host.
He
He'd
will
be a
get
good
the
host.
point. You know, I
No.
think somebody that can bring the best of the best. I mean, I remember Shania Jebbia, Miss USA,
Oh yeah, 98.
1998. She used the same style of gown in Miss USA, Miss Universe. But I remember in Miss USA about that she played sports and she wanted a basketball on stage. You know, what you were saying, when you had girls talking to you, I remember Joy saying that I will not cut my hair. I did a military training, but I would never cut my hair. You have other, it's just about personality, Peter. I don't know. And that's what we need. That's what is needed. Successful queens know how to communicate and be appealing to others. Learn from the influencers, the TikTokers that they have a lot of followers when they are funny because they know how to be appealing. But whatever. None of these girls
Yeah,
are memorable
somebody
anymore.
mentioned Carson Kressley. Carson Kressley
would be nice.
did a lot of backstage host. I'd like to see him as the main host today.
Yes.
Mario Lopez is always good. He
Who?
always looks photogenic, telegenic.
Who?
Mario Lopez.
I don't like Mario Lopez.
You don't want any more?
I definitely don't want Olivia. I feel like Olivia is very boring to me.
No, she's out. She hasn't changed. It's still the same monotonous.
I think she changed a little bit 2022, 2023 because there was a lot of comments on Instagram of like what she needed.
I remember that.
Yeah.
The way she mentioned France.
And I think she upped it up a notch, and then back to El Salvador, she's like, I'm gonna go back to myself.
Well, but I think this year Mario Lopez didn't have too much to do. I don't know what happened. He looked different in a way. I don't know. He didn't have time.
Yeah, I think they need to find somebody who's like a perfect combination of Bob Barker and Bob Go. Yes, perfect combination.
I love
they need to audition. They need to, have people audition for that role.
They need to have somebody that will put them on the spot so they can bring their personality out.
What's that? The guy ABC Black Michael. He did the show.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Forget his name.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, but I forgot his name.
He did
again, but I don't remember. See, he's not memorable though.
But I feel like I feel like, yes, I don't know his last name, but I feel like I remember him as like being just really good at volleying and back and forth, and that's what's needed.
What about Big Frida? Remember her? Him?
No.
Amazing.
She was one of the judges during in New
Michael
Orleans.
Strahan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael
Big Frida.
Strahan.
Or some famous celebrity or something. Or maybe a past Miss Universe title holder besides Catriona. I'd like to see Catriona be the main host for a change.
But this is the thing. Catriona have something that I love the most. She speak. That public speaking ability that she has. She have an angel for TV, which I love. That's what made her stand out over anything. So when she's co-hosting, I'm happy. So you imagine her with Carson together on stage? That would be amazing. Who's gonna outstage whom?
Catriona is great at knowing what the camera wants, and she knows how to give it. She did that when she won.
Exactly.
She knew exactly what to say.
She's a pro.
Knew exactly how to play it, and
Camera
she's
loves her.
because she understands the camera aspect of being recorded and interacting with it, and she knows how to do it. She's really good.
And Carson was really good. Like I noticed that when he was doing the commentary, that he kind of came up with these random facts that he obviously meant that he was either well researched or is like us, a bit of a pageant, devotee from years back. And it was
guys,
but yes,
it just dawned on me that I have never seen a previous Miss Universe title holder or contestant either from Venezuela, Mexico, or Colombia do a hosting job or even a backstage commentating. I've seen
Paulina Vega.
Queens.
No, Paulina Vega did it. She did.
When? Oh yeah, that's right. In Israel, right?
2020?
That was 2021 in Israel with Chesley Christ and Carson Kressley. But
Sheynnis.
But backstage, Sheynnis did a commentating.
Chesley.
No, I was about to say Shandy Finnessy.
But no Venezuelan queens. I thought it was very curious. No. I can't think of anything.
Yeah, but
Estefania and Dayanara are saving.
Dayanara is saving. God. Yeah,
Dayanara has judged.
You do not want her as a back commentator. She will preach the gospels to you.
I want to see. I want to see Lara. I want to see Lara Dutta. Lara Dutta is either the main host.
Yeah,
I could listen to her voice all day.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Either Lara Dutta or even Sushmita.
But the thing is, like for example, Paulina Vega, Miss Colombia, where
Paulina was boring, says Hector Joaquin.
Boring is a term of endearment.
She did a boring job.
Through YouTube, was proven that she is not intelligent at all.
Who?
It's in the history. Paulina. YouTube.
She's not intelligent. Yeah.
She's not intelligent.
What do you mean she's not intelligent?
Well, she's not a public speaker. I don't think that.
No,
I don't think that I would identify Paulina as like a public speaker. I think she won Universe on a very lucky year.
Yeah, because I agree. And that crown was for Jamaica or Ukraine.
No. The last two standings should have been Colombia and Ukraine.
Nah, I would take Colombia out.
Not USA. I'm sorry. As much as I love, Nia Sanchez.
Yeah, I would put
like third runner-up.
I would have put just Ukraine and Jamaica. Those two. They were the ones.
Jamaica was robbed big time.
Yeah, I was like, what the?
No.
It's like last year. Like to me, like the top two was Nigeria and Thailand. I thought that was going to be the top two. And so hey, listen. Once again, I feel like with Miss Universe, you never know, and I feel like unless there's like a Lara Dutta, Catriona Gray, Sozobini Tunzi in your competition, you have a chance because unless you're competing with that caliber, forget about it.
Yeah.
Now going back to earlier about the dethronement issue thingy, did you notice that Opal is actually the third Miss Universe contestant to be dethroned this year in 2024, 2025. The first one was Miss Panama. Remember, she was caught with her boyfriend. Disqualified.
Disqualified.
And then you have
Argentina.
who was dethroned because she said bad things about, she said the truth about Miss Universe, and for that she was dismissed, she was dethroned. And then you have Opal,
Penalized.
penalized. Yeah, it's just like weird, it's just bizarre. So
But who really cares if they're
I'm hoping for fourth
dethroned? They're
dethronement.
not. But like the dethronement from a third runner-up, like it'll still be used. Like people aren't going to say, "Oh no, Ileana is now the third runner-up." I mean, Ileana doesn't even mention Miss Universe in her Instagram profile now either. So she's not, she doesn't.
Yeah,
she's moved on too.
I can just imagine she must be really pissed along with Mexico. Those two girls are totally being ignored. So again, in my latest vlog, I did mention, can you imagine all these girls competing this year? They all want to win Continental Queens. They don't want to be runners up because Continental Queens get invited to all these events. They get more exposure, etc. They forget about being runner up. I want to be Continental Queen.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry, but you know that Mexico didn't deserve to be there. She was lucky to make top 30. Please, come on. That was a joke.
All right. So anybody going to Miss Universe this year in Thailand? Raise your hand.
I prefer
anybody thinking of going?
I prefer
I'm
to go
like
to
thinking
hell.
of going because I'm just curious as to how Nawat is going to produce the show. I'm very, very curious. Roger, are you going?
Oh, look, Thailand is a lot closer to Sydney than Mexico was.
So you will go?
No, I won't. I won't go while in all this current hoo-ha. Look, I'm so glad that I went, and I'm glad that I got to meet you, Rafa, in person, which was definitely a highlight. But I think for the moment, I would rather go to India and watch Miss World. I would actually rather something that I know is going to be a real spectacle. I'd love to go to a Miss Venezuela at one point if it's in the Poliedro. Like that would be so exciting. I just don't know what you're going to get with. Yes, Nawat is involved, and I think that's a really good thing because their opening for Miss Grand last year was so cool. I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
But
okay, fine. So would you go to Miss Cosmo or Miss International?
Vietnam. Miss International, what if I want to bring my sleeping bag and a pillow? No. Yeah. Sorry, Stephen, but no.
All right, so
no, I'm gonna wait. Maybe if it's in the Philippines next year, if they announce that, who knows?
Okay.
But the thing is that Miss Cosmos is gonna be in Vietnam first, and the finals is gonna be in Thailand, which I'm just excited.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Is that confirmed?
That is a really smart move because if Miss Cosmo wants to take over, they need to start going international. They need to bring into like Las Vegas.
Juicy.
Yeah. I think Noemi is going to Miss Universe because she already did her hotel reservation, which is not too far away from the venue. She's saying, Roger, go to Cosmo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why we don't go all to Cosmo?
I'm tempted.
Thailand.
I'm tempted to go.
Okay.
Well, I've never been to Thailand, so I can't make up my mind between grand or international because I know George is going to both. And I mean, he loves Miss Grand because he went there last year for the first time. He loved the production. But I'm more leaning towards Miss Universe only because I'm just curious. I already know how Grand is like production-wise, but I want to see Nawat's version of Miss Universe. So I'm just very, very curious. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm just played by ear.
Listen, I feel like we're all going to watch because we really respect the pageant, regardless of what's happening. We're going to watch, we're going to tune in, and we're going to see what they have in store for us. But it was really funny watching the Mexico edition, and I was just like, I just kept screaming, like, who's running this show? Like, not only, okay, so the last thing I'll say about that is like, how did they let them come out with their bands? Maybe because they had a top 30 and they needed to like make the distinction like really clear. But like for the last 25 years, no semifinalists competition, swimsuit and evening gown ever has a band anymore.
While they're competing.
Well, they're competing, yeah, finals night. And so they do it for the preliminary, but they don't do it for the finals night. And I think like maybe 27 years they haven't done it. At least maybe 2000 was
93 was the last time.
No, I think that they did it up until 2000. I think 2001.
In
when they
evening
took it
gown,
away.
they stopped, but then they took it away from swimsuit
That's right.
eventually as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Dorothy is asking, Roger, is there an Australian host that you can recommend to host Miss Universe?
Me.
Yes, Roger. Hello, he's right there in front of
Yay!
you. If he hosts, then he'll definitely go to Miss Universe. Hello.
Oh, Noemi, that's very sweet. I don't know. I would love to go to Cosmo. I think there are lots of really good Australian TV hosts and some ones that have kind of made it over to America and all that sort of thing. So yeah, should put some feelers out.
What about Nicole Kidman?
Or Hugh Jackman?
Or Hugh Jackman?
Chris
Jackman?
Hemsworth?
Hey.
He would be amazing.
Hugh
Chris
Jackman
Hemsworth?
He's a cutie. I think somebody says, oh, Heniba, I think Miss Universe is going to have a better production than Miss Grand. You know what? I agree. Because you know why? Nawat has to prove himself to the world that he can do much better than Raul and Anne. So that's his biggest challenge. So that's why I'm looking forward to rather go to a Miss Universe than Miss Grand. So we'll see. I know Noemi is trying to push me to go to Thailand, but you know what? I have like 5 months to decide.
Well, are they gonna make the girls at Miss Universe sell things? Are they?
I don't know. So let's talk about that. What
Yeah.
changes? What kind of changes would you like to see Nawat do for the next production of Miss Universe? Do you want him to go back to the traditional format? Do you want him to bring back the top 10, 15 interviews on stage with the hosts? Do you want the Little Sisters to go back? Do you remember the Little Sisters?
Oh my God! No,
You are my star. You light my way.
The Little Sisters can stay in the 90s.
Oh my
I
God,
got
that's
one.
the best. Do you want the girls to memorize a new theme song, like in the olden days, dance and sing at the same time, like oh my boo hi, hello there.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I think they need to bring
Yes.
I think they need to bring the openings like that when the
Mabuhay,
girls.
I know what is it. Mabuhay, I know.
Viva la noche, sawadi, sawa sawadi. Oh my God!
It's not like we didn't learn the dance. But,
we are so gay.
I know, totally right.
Now we remember the dance on the stage.
Yeah.
Rafa is doing.
I'm sure they're like 12, 13-year-old gay boys watching us right now.
And, I'm not alone.
When you do Viva la Noche, we're like, okay, I'm ready.
I really love 86.
I can imagine like a 13-year-old gay boy watching this discussion. Mama, I want to be like Roger when I grow up. Mama, I want to be like Wilfredo and JD and Rafa when I grow up.
Hello, mabuhay.
Welcome to the
Can I start? I'll start with what I'd like to see. I would like to see a proper crowning. Like I like what Miss Grand does, and like they actually have a moment between the old queen, the outgoing queen, and the new queen, and it's very much the whole like, and it's just the two of them. It's not some random Miss Universe stuff, plonking the sash on and walking off, and then the crown. I love the crowning moment where they're like talking to each other and they're having that moment. It's really quite beautiful. I mean, even when Nawat removes the crown, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, it's also a bit self-serving to him, but I love the crowning, and I love it with like Miss World and everything, where they take the sash off and they put it on. Like it's a proper handing over of the duties.
I have a throne.
I love that.
Yeah. They have a throne too.
Yes.
And they gracefully like positioned themselves for the photographer. You know, nothing was rushed or anything. They really took the time to take a top three.
They kissed the crown and then they put it on their head.
Like in the olden days in Miss Universe. Remember those old pictures, the 70s, 80s, 90s, where you have official photographs.
But Miss Universe never took the crown off and put it on. Like Miss World's done that, and I love that with Miss World. But
do you remember that horrible coronation moment of Wendy Fitzwilliam?
And Brooke Lee spat it. She was so pissed.
He was like,
was that Miss Ghana? Miss Ghana just jumped on poor Wendy.
If there's something you will trust Brooke Lee to do is keep order. That would be the one thing. That would be the one thing you trust her with.
And then
I want to see Brooke as a stage director.
Brooke Lee does not fuck around. That woman, that woman does not fuck around. You can just tell by her attitude that she is she's very strong with who she is. She's, you know, she always does this, right?
She should be the stage director.
with the Hawaiian mafia. I'm gonna cut you off. I'm telling
Funny.
you.
All right, so George Pageant Empress says, I want to see longer evening gown for the preliminaries, and 5 seconds is not enough. Well, they just the 5 seconds in Mexico, which is stupid. Anyway, I'm sure Nawat is going to have a regular traditional evening gown presentation, both in the prelims and the national.
Yeah, but we already know that last year evening gown was just thrown there without planning. That was the reason why.
It was a last minute.
It was a last minute situation because people were complaining.
But also, who was behind that decision to cut evening gown and replace it with national costume? Like, who was behind
you wonder.
Like, who was behind that? Like, who made that decision? Like, it's so random.
Probably Anne.
There's no way to evaluate a magnanimous costume with a country like Sweden, who, you know, they wear like the Yodel girl outfit. You know, this is just making, a random vision.
Yeah, but they have, and they can't parade in it properly. Especially if it's
like,
thing.
It's just too different. It's just, you cannot evaluate fairly on that. It's just crazy.
You know what I'd like to see? I don't want to see all these brief video clips every time they announce the semifinalists to the top 15. They take a pause just to show the stupid bio clip or whatever. I want a continuous announcement of top 15 or top 20, okay?
Exactly.
No pauses, no fucking speeches whatsoever.
And they interact with each other. They hug and they hold hands and
exactly. It's just like
they're all just on their own.
If you plot a video there of the girls say stupid something.
But you know what? One thing that I like that was in Miss Universe 2018, if they want to do continental queens or whatever, that was great because it was per continent. But Steve Harvey, every time they were calling, he would interact with the girls. That part was better than seeing a stupid video about, hi, my name is Session and I have to do my Chihuahua. They call JD.
Oh yeah,
JD's gone. Oh my God, he was kidnapped by Nawat. JD, what happened? No. Please come back.
Did you dethrone her? Did you dethrone him? And we are the only finalists for the title, Mr. Critical Beauty.
Well, he was third runner up. There, he's gone.
Okay.
Yeah,
so he was the top three.
So he doesn't care. He's like Opal. Okay, he doesn't care
anymore. I go to Critical World. I'm tired.
I'm tired of Critical Beauty. I'm gonna go Critical World.
He's very knowledgeable. I like him. I hope we can do more live with him. He's very passionate, which I like in a person. I like that.
George Pageant Empress, emotional farewell moment for the previous queen. Like Luciana's speech was so beautiful in person.
Exactly.
Sheynnis could not even see her.
Completely agree, George.
Again, totally. Yeah, it was horrible what they did to Miss Universe Sheynnis last year.
In the dark. She just walked forward 5 steps in the dark, and that was it.
You couldn't even like appreciate her gown. Even though it was supposed to light up on stage, but that was a horrible gown to wear to begin with.
So bad.
So I really felt bad for her too.
But this is the thing. I don't know. I think that in that part I love the interaction of Hedy crowning the girl and putting the new crown on the exiting queen. That moment is beautiful because that can teach you that doesn't matter how was the year, but that connection with the queen is beautiful. And I like that part. That is the reason why
he's coming back.
He's coming back.
Ding, ding, ding.
We missed you.
Hey.
We have bad news for you, JD.
I went to polish my replica chandelier crown.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No. Could you please wear it? Could you please wear it?
I wish I had one.
Okay.
We have
you were third runner up. We thought you got dethroned.
Yeah.
I would never be a runner up. I would always be a winner.
I don't know. We need to.
Ooh, perra.
We need to find. I don't know. We have several Miss Universe. I don't know about you.
Listen, I've seen all editions. All the Puerto Rican girls were very deserving. Okay.
No, I disagree. I disagree. Not Deborah Carthy to you. I'm sorry.
Listen, that year was not a very strong year.
No.
It was not. And I feel like Deborah herself was very surprised when she won because she thought that Spain had won. And that was really the top two throughout the entire night was Puerto Rico and
Spain.
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 But I think
Let's see the
Deborah
sun.
was, I think that she was just very classy, and she had the most beautiful gown, the top five. So when, you know, they did the how do you say, the final look, out of all of them, she looked the best.
But the thing is, like, Deborah was that
It was a
typical
weak year.
elegant
It was a
queen.
weak year. Yeah, it was a weak year. I am right,
when
Roger?
And Deborah is very elegant. The times that I had the time to spend with her before I moved to United States, she's very poised, very elegant, very talented. She know how to act, she know how to dance.
Yeah.
She did a great job as Miss
Did that at the
Universe.
beginning, at the opening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Deborah, maybe for some people, might not be facially beautiful, but Deborah was so elegant and poised. And she was the highest score on the evening gown.
Yep.
With a simple dress. And the thing that happened with Deborah is not like she thought that she didn't want person, that she didn't believe it. What happened is because Spain started jumping around, that Deborah was like, okay, so I didn't want? Because Spain saw that she won. So she's like, thank you. And so I was like, oh, girl, you didn't won.
The same thing happened in 88 with Korea and Thailand. Korea thought that she had won
because she doesn't speak English well enough.
Yeah, she thought she was winning.
Yeah,
she heard her name. Yeah, oh, poor dear.
Exactly.
Poor
but jokes aside, Puerto Rico is the only one that have won all the international crowns. Thank you very much.
Another change that I'd like to see is that, remember in the olden days when the outgoing queen was going to do her farewell walk, she was still wearing her crown and her mission badge. I want to see.
I love that.
I want to see that back as well. I do.
You know why? Because if a viewer who is not a pageant fan sees that scene for the first time, they would wonder, who the fuck is that girl? We don't know
how she won. What is the history behind
like
it?
what is she doing there? If she's a queen, then where's her crown and her sash? So bring that back, okay?
And hand it over.
When did that
stop?
When did that stop? That stopped like in 20.
I'm trying to remember.
2011 with Lalela Lopez.
Oh, maybe even earlier than that.
No, earlier.
Oh, even earlier, because I remember 2007 when Rio
Mori did not. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she came out. Yeah,
so
she was wearing her crown or sash.
Zuleika did have a crown. She had the tiara.
Exactly.
But they didn't have the sash. Yeah,
didn't have the sash.
Canada didn't have the sash.
Bring that back. Bring all those good stuff back.
Ceremony.
Another one I want to see back.
You know what? I think that stopped in 1999 when Wendy Fitzwilliam gave her crown in the black dress, singing instead of talking with the ponytail.
Yes, I was just thinking about that.
She had no sash.
I think she
had no sash.
1999, there was no sash.
Because Brooke had the sash and the crown.
Because Brooke has her sash and crown with the red Hawaiian dress, crowning her. So yeah,
then one Lara Data, she didn't have a sash, she had a crown.
Escandalo.
I needed to go back on my Rolodex. Like,
the pageant Rolodex.
Everyone was so excited because that was the second time in almost 21 years that a Black Miss Universe had been crowned, coincidentally, both from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. And then the next year,
everyone
was
and then it was so excited. Like everyone was wanting for Wendy to win. And I was actually, funny enough, you know what I was watching? I believe 2 days ago, I was watching 98 again.
And you know what? Wendy still looks.
I am so gay, I know.
Wendy still looks the same.
Still gay.
Amazing.
What?
Wendy looks exactly the same.
Wendy is
timeless.
That's why I love going back and watching them, because I just become even more mesmerized. Because she looked like a Barbie.
She was a gazelle.
That was a great pageant. I love 98.
If you
the swimsuit competition,
Tears with the fire. 98 was even better with the dancers.
The male dancers.
The limbo, that was great.
You go
yes, and they came from out between the stilt walkers. That was so cool.
And the 99.
How do you call that?
99. The limbo.
Limbo, that's
Limbo.
right,
That was
Limbo.
in
Yeah,
Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, but I think the opening of 1998 was so beautiful because was the name of the country and the pictures, the typical headshot is like a
Mm.
moment.
No, the limbo was in
Um,
1999.
It was
yeah, the Limbo
yeah,
was
yeah.
in Trinidad and
but
Tobago,
the introduction, yeah.
the introduction for swimsuit was in 1990, and I remember that opening because that opening in Trinidad and Tobago was beautiful. You see Wendy Williams,
It was
welcome
so
to
energetic.
and she's in the middle looking like a gazelle. And you know the Filipinos
Yeah.
always name their walk about something: the lava walk, the whatever walk, the cockroach walk, the ant
Tsunami.
walk, the tsunami, the hurricane, the tornado, the volcano. Wendy Fitzwilliam was
All the
the
natural
gazelle.
disasters.
All the natural disasters. Wendy Fitzwilliam was the gazelle walk. That woman walked like a gazelle.
Yeah.
She looks beautiful. And I think the only queen I can tell you right now, that kind of brought that elegance back was the current Miss Philippines last year on her national when she went out with her white dress. When I saw her in evening gown, I said she's winning because she reminded me that elegance
So
from Wendy
regal. Yeah.
Fitzwilliam. So beautiful. And then when I saw her in Miss Universe with the ball gown, like she's Miss Teen USA, I was like, what the
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think? What do you think of two different panel of judges, both for the preliminaries and the finals? Or do you think they should have both the same judges, like in the olden days?
Yeah.
It was the same judges in the olden days.
Yeah.
They need to be the same.
Do you think they should continue with two separate, or sometimes two or three judges from the preliminaries would do the finals as well, the live telecast? So do you
I
think?
feel like if they include a semifinalist interview in the finals night, then I feel like fine, switch over some preliminary judges and final night judges. But because you get to, once again, I feel like if with a semifinalist interview, you'll get to understand a little bit more about who they are. If they didn't have the opportunity to meet the girls, because in the past they would meet one by one, they would meet each judge, each girl. And so I don't know, I like that, but if that's not going to be the case, then at least give us a semifinalist interview where you at least get to have a better idea of what the girl sounds like, her personality. If you didn't have the opportunity to have the preliminary judging to get to know who they are, because I feel
For
like you
me,
need a little bit of understanding of who they are, who your favorite is, and if you don't have that, then what are you evaluating other than swimsuit and gown? But those are pretty superficial things at the end of the day. And so it's like you want substance. And so I feel like
Absolutely.
they get to at least get to know them beforehand. They have a better idea of who the girl is, what she can offer, where they want her to place. That's what they all did. They already kind of knew who their favorite was, and then they would work the judging scores according to wanting their favorite
exactly.
to actually make it into the top five.
And
It's
this is the thing,
what happened with South Africa at 82.
Oh,
Oh yes,
Yes, I remember
that
watching
was
that
shocking.
swimsuit. In the swimsuit, but apparently there's a theory that one of the judges was going for Guam. Yeah, right? Yeah, is that right? Something like that? Guam or
no.
Italy? Guam or Italy
Yeah,
was one of
I'd
the
heard that one
favorites.
of the
Yeah,
judges wanted to enter a score of 10, but only
that
gave
is true.
1.00, and that brought her average down.
But I
Because
heard
she
that
won
he did it.
preliminary swimsuit.
But I heard that he did it because Guam was his favorite, and so that was
No,
how he.
that was 83, I think. Wasn't 83 when
No, that
New
was
Zealand
82.
won? 82? I think it
82.
was
Canada
South
won
Africa.
Guam was
in
first
80.
runner-up to Canada.
But South Africa
No,
was South
but South
Africa was
Africa
first runner-up to
82.
New
I think
Zealand.
that South Africa 82.
No, USA was runner-up to New Zealand. South Africa was first runner-up to Sweden in 84, but South Africa didn't make the top five in 82.
That's what I
Odette
thought.
Scrooby, but she
Exactly.
was top preliminary, and she came first in preliminary swimsuit.
And
Like
she had a gorgeous face.
it didn't make sense. She
It
was,
didn't make
she
sense.
was, yeah. Anyway,
Because at that time, if you guys remember, they always said that they would take the lower score and the higher score. They would eliminate that. But when you were able to see the scores, sometimes the judges didn't have enough time to enter So when you see the score, some of the girls will be missing points, not because the judges didn't want to vote. It's just by the time they were
Not
pressing
enough time.
But those scores would
the
eventually
score,
get added in.
I don't know if that will get out. The only thing I remember is that they would take the highest score would be eliminated and the lower
True.
score.
But that was after
Because-
that edition. That was after that edition of 82 because they realized that the 10th score did not.
The average was not working. Yeah, overall average.
Because it's very rare. Like, for example, I remember in 1995, the top two was Puerto Rico and USA, God rest her soul. And then Chelsea ended up winning Miss Universe in 1995. You know, when you see a pageant like that, when there's, and that's what I miss about the commentators in the 80s and in the 90s. It's like they will comment like, oh my God, look who's on top. I remember she was, because that's another thing that I remember. When you see the host, former Miss Universe from Holland, for instance, Angela Viso, that I love her. She's super sweet. She's my friend on Facebook, and she's always so nice, and she's gorgeous. Her daughter is beautiful.
One of my
I remember her.
favorites.
Mine too. I remember when you see her commenting, I spent time with this girl. I spent time with, I mean, it's like they already knew. That is the reason I do not believe in two separate panel of judges, and I do not believe in all women judges. I do not. The panel of judges need to be a mix. A panel of judges need to be the same one. And to be honest with you, that is the reason I love when Miss World is happening, because you see the president there, nothing to hide. She knows what she wants. She's there in the judging panel. I prefer to see, I mean, Nawat it's like Nawat and their team, they're judging these girls from the whole 4 weeks.
Job interview.
What they're gonna do. Boom. And I love that part that when in interview comes is Nawat, Teresa, and the former grand, and that's it. Or a former grand with both of them, like Liz did before. So I don't know. I believe that it needs to be the same panel of judges because they've been there watching the girls. They've been following the girls. That is the reason I love when you see the staff and the judges like being part of the whole scenario to choose the queens, because they will be able to get a point of view from everybody. You know, when you switch panel of judges, that new panel of judges have no idea who the hell is these people. And then because they don't know how they talk, or unless it's a edited video, that's what they got. You need to have the person on the spot. How they're gonna react, how the adrenaline is gonna kick in. Making a video is easy. It's like, hi, my name is Wilfredo Santos Lopez, and I'm from Puerto Rico. Versus on stage,
they're just doing the Panty Covey commercial.
Hi, I'm Wilfredo from Puerto Rico. You know, the energy is gonna be different. So you need you need to see that on their spot. So for me, I hope they bring back the same panel of judges.
I agree with
introduction, interview.
Yeah, that is
like that, because that was
you know why? Because you want to see the evolution of the contestants. You don't want to bring a second party or third party, you know, during the live telecast. You want to keep the same people because they've known the girls from day one, and you want to continue, you know, the judging process till during the live telecast. Also, I you know what I don't want to see anymore? When the top 5, when they pick a question in the bowl, they have to wear the stupid headsets. It ruins your hairdo, the hairstyle. Get rid of that. Bring back the isolation booth, for Pete's sake.
Yes.
In that case, you have all top 5 socializing with each other, giving each other moral support inside the glass isolation booth. And I want to see Critical Beauty as a sponsor of that isolation booth.
And you're the one
who want to roll that into the stage. You're the one that damn isolation booth on stage.
No, I'm sorry, Rafa.
And now we call former Miss Universe Rafa Delfing from Papua New Guinea.
You need to change that because we are the 4 popes now, like they said in the beginning. It's Critical Beauty and the popes. So it needs to be Critical Beauty and the popes.
It's Critical Beauty. It's Critical Beauties now, not beauty, beauties.
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 Critical perras.
Perras. Somos las
perras críticas.
perras. Do you Spanish? Oh my God! Do you imagine?
It's actually, you know, Sheynnis did this conference in Florida, and there's a clip where she's talking about how God gave her this victory, and then someone in the comments is like, "You didn't win because God gave you the victory. You won because you were perra." And I was like, it's so true. She won because she had attitude. Yes,
Absolutely.
God, I'm sure that that's something to do with it, but once again, it's
You
like,
know that what would be amazing if they invite all of us from through Critical Beauty, every personalized being in Critical Beauty to be the judges.
I would love
You
to
know
be a
what?
judge.
Yeah,
I would love to
that
work
That
would
would be
with her.
amazing. That would
okay,
be like,
people.
oh shit.
Let me talk to the viewers. Okay, let me talk to my followers. Followers,
Oh, sorry.
if you want all four of us to be future Miss Universe judges, please flood the Miss Universe organization with phone calls, with emails, social media comments and stuff and everything, tagging each four of us. Please, please have these four critical perras to be part of the judging
Is that what
panel.
someone said? Someone said that?
Miss
Yeah.
Universe.
Someone said
Maybe
that?
should. I
No, he's
think-
making.
All
And
right,
then-
people, viewers, fans, if you really love me and my guests, please do so.
Send a
Contact
fax.
the Miss Universe organization
Yeah,
to have
please.
all four of us to be judges, even only for the prelims. Okay, we don't care.
For the
As long
prelims.
as we remain
And
judges.
Noemi, you need to add Noemi.
No,
and-
Noemi, yes.
Oh, and Noemi could be the
And
backstage
George.
host.
And George.
And George.
And
too.
George. George will be behind the scene talking, and Noemi will be like this with her chihuahua, with Tina right here doing that
Oh.
face, that everything.
Interesting comment. What about
Yeah.
a judge from each continent?
That is,
I like that.
What about
I
a
like that.
judge? What about a judge representing each race? A
I
judge
think they're
okay.
representing each nationality or ethnicity.
like Eurovision. It could be like a popular vote from around the world. I actually personally think that there should be a combination of like celebrity judges and then like almost official trained judges. I mean, I like the fact what you said, Wilfredo, like it's from the organization. I think a whole panel full of celebrity judges is just too much potential for there to be favoritism. Like I'll never forget in Israel where Urvashi Rotella is sitting in the audience, is sitting on the judges panel, and Harnaz is walking, and she's like, "Yes, you're on the judges panel, and you're clapping Miss India." It
you
was
shouldn't
like
show any
so
favoritism.
wrong.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
a no-no.
it was so wrong.
She forgot that she was a judge. She was like, yes, yeah, bele, bele. Oh my God, oh my God, that's my. Oh
What
my
was,
God.
what was the thing with her crowning a Miss India recently? What was that about?
No
That was
idea
so
why she was
strange.
crowning again.
Because she won like 10 years ago.
Well, she thinks she's relevant still. That's the problem. Nobody likes her in India. She just she likes to crash parties and stuff.
I'm
And
dry.
she buys Instagram
She
followers.
buys
She's
followers.
like 70
She's like the
million
most followed
followers.
former Miss Universe India, you know.
I'm dry.
No, okay. I want to see innovations. Like this is one innovation I want to see. Okay, get rid of the stupid freaking interpreters. Why don't they use artificial intelligence or Chat GPT to do the translation? That would be interesting, right? Talking about artificial intelligence. It'll save them a lot of money. You don't have to pay professional interpreters and stuff.
I also feel like a more intensive hiring process of like, can you not only translate, but are you also a good creative writer? Are you a creative thinker to be able to the Hispanic guy that always translated in I believe the 90s.
Miss Universe?
Yeah,
Francisco de la Vega is his name.
He would put his own touch in how he would say it, and so
he gave Alicia
later. He would even do it better sometimes.
Hello, I posted about that.
Yeah, but the thing is that they work through a company. It's not like
that's the thing. They need to hire that company again.
Yeah, but you imagine artificial intelligence interpreting. This would be a Puerto Rican interpreter. This stupid idiot is saying that she wants to save the world. This perra doesn't know nothing. Girl, baila reggaeton, puta. Gracias.
Oh, you know what they don't have? They don't have sign language. Maybe they should add sign language. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you
Yes,
They
go.
never
yes,
had
we should add that.
sign
Yes,
language.
A deaf queen, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that's also
Well,
never
this is the thing. We have Venezuela was close to have a first queen, national queen for Venezuela to represent Miss Universe. She was deaf. She's deaf. I'm sorry. She went to Miss International. She was gorgeous. She didn't make it. And in Puerto Rico, we have a girl competing in 2002, I believe, for Ponce. She was gorgeous, and she's deaf. I don't know if she's still alive. I don't know. But that is the funny thing. I don't think we ever had a deaf, deaf, a deaf contender in Miss Universe. I don't remember. I know Miss America have the first winning in
Yes.
1995.
Yeah, Heather
and things
Heather
like that.
What's
With Heather
Whitestone.
Whitstone.
Heather Whitestone.
But I don't think any like Miss Universe or Miss World have
Who's
ever
deaf?
a deaf contender. I know Miss International have with Miss Venezuela.
Has there ever been a mute contestant?
I don't think so.
Only Miss
What
International.
about a blind contestant? What about somebody who's blind, deaf, and mute? And
Helen Keller?
autistic to top it off.
I don't know where to go with this.
A lesbian too.
Do
Well,
you want to bring,
talk about inclusivity right there.
do you want to bring Helen Keller? This is what we do. Oh God.
I feel like that
Why did Helen Keller burn her cheek?
Is that a question?
It's a
A
joke.
riddle? Is that a riddle?
It's a horrible joke,
joke.
but I love it.
I'm so shocked that you love
What?
it.
Okay, Google it. Google the answer, people.
No, tell me the answer. I'm not gonna Google. I don't have time for that. I
Well,
already
because
spent hours of my life.
she mistook the iron as a telephone.
That is really funny.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. This is so
Listen,
wrong.
we gotta laugh.
What did Helen Keller say when she fell off the cliff?
God, no.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Who's giving these jokes to you?
All right, that was bad. That was bad. Horrible.
No,
I'm gonna edit
guys,
it. Okay?
This is
Just-
good.
On that note,
This may be
to
better
let you
content for
guys
your
know,
stand-up.
I
Listen,
know.
this content
I
will
know.
make
That's
it
terrible.
stand-up.
That was terrible.
all of us are gonna be in purgatory for a month because of this episode. Before Jesus say, "Hey, it's over." Come
it's
on.
okay. It's okay.
Somebody said bring back the preliminary scores on screen.
Yes.
I agree.
I
Yeah,
also
I
feel like
love
bringing
that.
back the finals night scores.
But see, if and only if they resort to the point system, but they don't do the point system anymore.
No, but I mean, this is the thing. Ant said that they were going to do that in 2023, that they were going to bring judging
Exactly,
system.
and they never did.
That didn't happen.
It didn't happen though. I
Yeah.
want to see flash on the screen. And do you remember when Miss Universe took place in in Puerto Rico in 2002?
Mhm.
They flashed the scores on the floor
Mhm.
as well.
Yes.
I love that. I really do. They on the floor, everything was so unique, was innovative back then. So I like that. What else? What else innovations do I want to see? I want to see an angel dropping off from the ceiling to crown the runners up.
Look, this is not Mrs. World of 2000.
No, but you know what? Talking
with the
about
angel going
2002.
down with the cloud.
What'd you say, Wilfredo?
There was a pageant, a Mrs. World pageant, that you see the angel going down to, I think it was Russia, the winner, going
Yes.
down with the crowd.
That was so rigged. It took place in Russia.
Yeah,
An 18-year-old Russian girl married to some 46-year-old dirty old man
And
or
she
something who
won.
bought the crown for her, you know.
But they needed to redo that. I think something happens. I needed to re-record the crowning again and just have the little angel with the crown. Like, let's see this go.
Right. But I think I'm very, actually, to be honest, I'm very hopeful that Nawat will do something amazing, innovative, and radical, you know, for the next production of Miss Universe. Maybe way
Now,
better
what
than
is going to
Sven.
do it?
Yeah.
I think that what
at the end of the day, Nawad has always wanted to own Miss Universe. I feel like this is always his dream. And so I feel like he had no choice but to downplay Miss Universe and claim that Miss Grant is the one and only, because I feel like that's what he had to do. He didn't own it, but things changed, and by the miracle of whoever, he was able to acquire, I guess, this partnership. And if he owns it, it's great. He seems to love beauty pageants. And if he loves them and is going to put effort and time in it, then do it. But do it well, you know? And I feel like what I was saying earlier is like, just don't make the girls sell products. Just don't do that. I feel like just don't turn the competition into like a tacky business motto where you're losing the prestige and the elegance of
Yeah.
a pageant, of a beauty pageant. You're telling the girls to sell. I'm
Right.
sorry,
And that is
dumplings in a
the
box.
reason. That is the reason. I mean, one thing is promoting the sponsors or their whatever they like to sell in Thailand, because it's normal in Thailand to see famous actors or actresses from GMTV or bless you or any other TV companies, and they will sell that like the popcorn or the whatever here there. That works in Thailand, but on international level, you cannot have an international queen promoting the Nest soy sauce. They need to be promoting, like if you have, let's say, she as a sponsor, then you need to have the current reign promoting the brand with commercials and things like that. Payless shoes, what whoever is the sponsor at that time, dressing and making sure that the Miss Universe looks amazing and ready. She's the face. I remember in Puerto Rico, like in other countries, not only Latin countries, the national winners, they were chosen and they win a contract either for modeling, TV. So that is the reason they needed to choose a certain standard girl that would be appealing for this. Like you will see Miss Puerto Rico doing the photo shoot for Pepsi or Coca-Cola. In Europe, some of them would be modeling for prestigious designers. So they needed to choose one that was tall, skinny, and whatever because of the national contract that was separated for the international contract when it comes to win. So I think that takes prestigious and stuff. Again, what works for you in Thailand, that doesn't mean that it's going to work for you on an international level. That the Miss Universe opening and production is going to be amazing. Yes, because he already said it. He already literally explained the difference between Grand and Miss Universe. So both openings are going to be amazing and different at the same time. And he is going to do it because he wants to be the owner of Miss Universe.
Comment. Oh, our friend Sandeep.
You know what?
Sandeep was supposed to
Own Miss
join
Universe,
us.
but bring me to work for you. That's all I'm gonna say to Nawat.
The best innovation we can see is for Anne not coming on stage during the show.
Please.
Say that again.
The best change we can see is for Anne not coming on stage during the show. Do you remember in Mexico?
Well, they both came out.
She was all over the place. She was in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the show.
In Florida as well, yeah.
In Florida as well. Yeah, our good friend from India, Sandeep, was supposed to join us tonight, but I think he forgot. Yeah, Sandeep, I sent you the link, and we're gonna finish very soon. Maybe next time you can join us. Another comment. Oh, as far as prize packages goes, I want to see the new Miss Universe win or get a car. Maybe a Tesla would be great. If you want to,
going cheaper here.
It's all about green, right? It's all about saving the environment. So why not a Tesla or any of these?
Well, that would be
electric
Miss Earth. That needs to be Miss Earth.
No, they
can't afford it.
Electric cars are more damaging. They're more damaging, and people apparently they are very more cancer prone. Driving electric cars.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Yeah. But this is the thing, like, I miss those. I remember, like, and for the year, she will have a telephone with the video, so you keep in touch with your family. You have a Rolex, you had this, you had that. Like, you have
$25,000 appearance contract.
Whatever, exactly. Now it's like, nobody, I don't think this year they said what was the prices for Miss Universe at all. I don't remember.
Fish sauce.
I think they should be getting a $250,000 prize. That is what
Cash.
I think
That's
contractually
it. Yeah, and they should be paid every month, monthly salary.
They need to get more because Miss Cosmo's paying pretty good.
How much are
To
they
the
paying?
winner and the first runner up. I think their prize, and hopefully I'm not wrong, but I think the total prize goes up to 200.
250
It's
million,
very
thousand,
like 2 million, 2
400.
million,
Yeah, 2 million. Okay, yeah.
2
2
million
million.
in Vietnam.
Cash and sponsors prizes.
Cash and sponsor and prizes, and it's the winner and the first runner up. And what I like about Cosmos, not because I'm part of the organization, thank you, but it's because they don't overshadow each other. They work each other. They work together as a team, and that is a beautiful thing. I don't know. There's a lot of changes that now what need to revamp and reinvent and clean the house completely.
I think he will. He will.
He needs to clean the house.
Yeah.
And
when you say clean the house, you mean get rid of Anne?
Oh, get rid of
You will have
Anne.
to start from scratch, really.
But do you think he has the guts to get rid of her?
They need to have good national directors that have a vision that promote the brand in the countries, because we have some directors that is only about me, nothing for the girls. I'm sorry, but since Venezuela lost Osmel Souza, Miss Venezuela is nothing. It's not the great celebration in the Polleros of Caracas. Venezuela is not the powerhouse anymore. Venezuela is just to be a finalist, not like before. I want to see the original powerhouses being showcased, like in the 90s. Finland, Sweden, India, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela. You will see these key countries that they will go and that you were expecting them. Now it's like,
But that would depend. That would depend on how good the European directors are. It's really their job to promote Miss Universe in their countries.
But Sweden doesn't even compete anymore.
Yeah, Sweden hasn't competed in a long time.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, pageantry is not like Miss Universe brand is not that good in Europe. Again, when we talk about how you brand something, it's like Miss World is pretty good because they have 130 girls every year. It's very famous in these countries, including Europe, blah, 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 because they know how to be appealing to these countries because it's more than a show. So if you want to get the Latinos that want to give, that market, you need to be appealing to everybody and educate. They have a beautiful girl that right now is coming from a country that never won Miss Universe, and not even their own country did a good welcoming party for her. That was sad. Not even in Chihuahua was there to say, hey, I'm here for your platform. Nothing, nada. I'm sorry, that is sad, because it doesn't matter if they choose a blonde one because they were waiting for a good blonde one. If they wanted a blonde one, Shandy Fennessy was a good blonde one for USA, and Jennifer Hawkins was a good blonde one from the Aussie girl. So come on, people. It's just, didn't work. Like when she won, there was nothing happening in her country about it. And that is sad to say. But in order for a country
it's their culture.
no.
They're just not big into pageants. They were not colonized by Spain.
But then why was Lisa such an amazing national director then shut out from the Miss Universe organization? What was behind that?
Did you read her comments? She wrote some lengthy comments and posts about it. She explained the reason why. She said that for months and months and months, she had been trying to contact the Miss Universe organization about helping her, and they promised that they would help her, but they dropped her like a hot potato.
But then what? Like why? Like it doesn't make sense. Like she was just trying to help the Miss Universe brand. It wasn't about trying to take attention away from Miss Universe. She just wanted to make her homecoming something really great for everyone. It was just so selfish.
But I feel like this is like, I feel like Miss Universe is all about severing relationships now. It's not about building loyal connections anymore. It's about
100%
connections. True. And so for whatever reason in their minds, how they deal with business and how they deal with, I think, human relations or whatever, I feel like, let's say in this case, particularly Anne, it's about getting the upper hand, and it's about proving the point. And I feel like that is far more important for them now than to actually build an organization that is about goodwill,
Mutual understanding.
mutual understanding, sportsmanship. It's none of those things anymore. It's about making money. And
That's remember the Miss Universe creed?
Yeah, so
Yes.
beautiful.
We, the young women of the universe, believe that people everywhere. Remember that one?
But this is the thing. Hopefully nobody get mad at me, but this
Oh, people will, honey.
I love it because they got mad at me. They bashed me about the liposuction, which I'm
And
loving
you
it.
love it. You love all the attention, bitch.
Yeah, I was, of course. I was when Rafa told me they're talking about you. I said, "Oh my God, thank you." I even went and comment like, "Yeah, let's do this." This is the thing. I wonder how Nawat spectrum of loyalty will change if he becomes the owner of Miss Universe, because Miss Universe is when it comes to choose a national delegate for Miss Universe, they already have a TV. It is promoted nationally versus Grand. Is that going to change his view about I need to be now loyal to the directors of Miss Universe because I have the TV backup versus Grand national director that not all every country have a TV channel that pass or promote the Grand brand. I wonder if that's going to change because we all know that Nawat is not that loyal. Was proven with the director of Brazil. That was very well proven.
This is one, yeah, exactly. This is one thing I don't like about MGI and MUO under the current management is because they think that everyone is disposable.
Yeah.
If you don't comply with our rules, you're gone. Okay, we're gonna sell the franchise.
Not only that, if your girl is our winner, your girl cannot even talk to you.
They don't care about loyalty. They don't care about loyalty.
Not only that, we already told her she cannot speak to you because otherwise, what? We'll take away her crown.
But
was that with Victoria?
This is another thing. Yeah. This is another thing.
So don't expect Lisa Lenz to return as Miss Universe Denmark's national director.
And this is something that I've been seeing in other, except Miss World, putting Miss World outside, and in other international pageants. If your girls are going to this particular pageant, they are being taken license off to certain directors, or if you are part of my organization, you cannot have another licenses. And for example, that doesn't work.
That's ridiculous.
Like for example, there's a pageant that is nothing right now, but they're getting jealous of Cosmos. And now you see Nawat saying something about Cosmos. You cannot tell a national director that have a TV channel that is promoting your pageant among others just to be only for you. Because let's be honest, in America, in the Latin countries, when they say we're going to choose the next delegate for Miss Universe, everybody's paying attention. Nobody's paying attention about Grand, International, maybe Miss World, but no, you know that in Latin countries, it's all about Miss Universe.
Definitely not Miss Cosmo.
And not Miss Cosmos. Let's be honest. I mean, when it comes to Miss Planet, Miss Cosmo, Miss Star, with whatever, they're only paying attention to Miss Universe because the longevity. So you need to be business intelligent. Like if I have a national director that have a TV show, a 3-hour pageant where they're choosing Miss such and such, and my brand is included, take the promotion. Puerto Rico, when they celebrate their pageant to choose Miss Grand, they have a
TV production, TV
production. Yeah, they have it is televised like Miss Universe Puerto Rico, Miss World Puerto Rico, jaggery. But not every country had that luxury, because in the Latin countries, they prefer to go with the one that speak volumes. And good or bad is Miss Universe. So now, with that being said, if Nawat ended up being the new owner of Miss Universe, if his loyalty idea towards directors is going to change, he's going to be like, okay, since I know that, for example, Puerto Rico, they promote Miss Universe Puerto Rico through Guapa America, Guapa TV, and whatever, and they see it all over, or Telemundo, or whatever. So it's better to have them to own both franchise. So I know my brand, both of them are going to be promoted. So that is the key question. Because again, if I'm a, bless you, if I'm a business owner, I need to look which country have a channel that is going to pass my show that doesn't depend on YouTube. That is an actual channel. Telemundo, Guapa, here, there, over there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if he becomes with that idea, if his loyalty view when it comes to business with directorships, national directors, and franchises is going to change. Because if he is not loyal, he is going to lose instead of win.
Well, if he wants his business to succeed, he really needs to make some exceptions, and he needs to be very flexible. When you talk about, like, he doesn't like the idea of the director holding two different rival franchises, Miss Grand, Miss Universe, or Miss Grand and Miss World or Miss Earth, whatever. If you come from a small country like, let's say, the Bahamas, okay, only one person in the entire country of the Bahamas is interested in directing a pageant. Why should this person be only limited to just one pageant, Miss Universe? What about the other ones? Miss Grand, Miss Earth, Miss International, Miss World, whatever. I don't think it's fair. And that's exactly what he's doing, is that he's depriving business economic opportunities from these people who are passionate about pageants and who are passionate about promoting the brands. But you can't do that because you're a director of a rival pageant.
Well, in that case, he's actually a dictator, because
talk about it.
Yeah, that's what he actually is.
No, it's bad. It's bad business ethics.
It's bad business, because I'm saying you're not a businessman anymore. You're a dictator, and who's gonna want to do business with the kind of person like that? If I'm gonna become a franchise holder for Miss Universe Colombia, let's say, like, and I crown a winner, and then all of a sudden, like, the franchise gets taken away from me because I'm supposed to now pay my license fee when I'm supposed to now have it free because my winner, my girl won. Like, it doesn't establish any trust, any safety whatsoever in your own, time and what you actually want to accomplish, which is you want to take girls to the crowning line. It's like the whole mechanism, I think, it's thrown off because you're not supporting the artist, the architect, who is actually image that is going to then go to your pageant and hopefully elevate it. And so, as the architect of that image, I also need to feel valued as what I'm producing.
It's being too insecure, though. You need to, and I think it's spreading everything out too thinly. Like, I think if you think of like Binibining Pilipinas at one point, Miss World, Miss International, Miss Universe, you're actually going to get a better quality contestant. And yes, you might be the second or third girl placed in the pageant, but that level of quality is probably going to be better than competing for Miss Supranational, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think it's that insecurity of thinking, oh, well, I don't want to play second fiddle to Miss Universe. But it's like, well, you might actually get a better quality contestant if you get to compete with, in one national pageant. It's just like Miss France, Miss South Africa, Miss Russia.
And another thing is, like, they tried this before. I remember in Venezuela in the year 2000 when because they did a pageant in Venezuela.
Latina Thorogood.
Amazing contender. Because the pageant wasn't separated. They needed to do an emergency pageant to crown Miss Republic of Venezuela.
Claudia Moreno.
That was because Miss World required the titular holder.
First runner-up, yeah.
Exactly.
It was about branding. That was the time when Miss World started to get worried about branding.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when that happens, like, that didn't work, especially for the country, because even though Venezuela at that time was able, with everything going on with the economy, you need to be clever. Okay, I prefer to have a massive pageant when they're choosing the titles and they are promoting it, and people get to know, oh, I didn't know that besides Miss Universe, we have Miss Cosmos, we have Miss Grand, we have Miss International, Miss Bacalaito Frito, Miss Cucumber, whatever. But at least they know that there's a pageant.
It lifts everything up.
Exactly.
But I heard that the reason why they had to do that pageant was because Martina didn't win Miss World, but she became first runner up. And so Donald Trump actually did not allow her to compete because she was first runner up at Miss World. That's what I heard on an
Yeah,
interview she
yeah.
did on, I think they did like a special of Miss Venezuela's on
Mhm.
YouTube.
Luis
That's right.
Olivarieta.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He
Mhm.
interviewed her and she's like, I didn't win and I wanted to go compete now to Miss Universe and I couldn't because Donald Trump didn't allow me to, which
Yeah.
I
I
understand.
wonder
Like,
if that had have. I
Well,
wonder if
well,
that
the
had have
thing is that
stayed separate if that hadn't have happened.
yeah,
well, the thing is that in that particular position, there needs to be a contract. Like, okay, you win this title, but keep in mind that if you arrive first round up on international level, you might need to not be able to go because if something happens to the winner, you need to
Yeah.
take over to
yeah,
that crown.
contractually you're obligated.
And in Miss Universe happens. How many times the Miss Universe was not able to go to Thailand and the first runner up needed to go? Like in 1995, Cinta Lavaria from Puerto Rico ended up going to Thailand or Indonesia, one of the two. I think it was Indonesia. I'm sorry, to Puteri Indonesia because Natalie Glebova was sick,
I remember that.
and it happens a couple of times that the first runner up with the Miss Universe organization needed to go and travel. Even in supranational, Carla Guilfoyle, our top 5 in Miss Universe, when she competed in Miss Supranational, she was first runner up, and something happens to the winner. I think she was sick too. So
She was
they
sent to
sent
yeah.
to Putri Indonesia, they send Puerto Rico, they send Carla to represent the organization. So I think there need to be like a special clause because
Yeah.
from the ages, we saw girls being top 5 in Miss International, or more likely more Miss Universe, Miss World, and then competing in Miss Universe and win. Like Namibia, Michelle McLean, she was top 5 in Miss World, she won the Miss Universe. Dayanara was semi-finalist in Miss International, then won Miss Universe.
Crossover.
Andrea Mesa won Miss first runner up in Miss World, and then she competed in Miss Universe years later and won, but wasn't within the year like before because some of the state directors, like in Puerto Rico and San Esteban, used to send the winner to different pageants as part of her preparation. That is the reason Dayanara won 2 international titles, including Miss Universe that year, but she went to Japan. Her first pageant was in Miss International 2 weeks or 3 weeks after winning Miss Puerto Rico, and she was semi-finalist. And then she went to Miss Universe and won.
She wasn't top
And
5.
Preparation. Top
huh?
15.
Top 5 in Miss International.
She was top
Miss
15.
International,
Top
she was
15.
semi-finalist. Yeah.
She
So
competed. She competed in Queen of the World. Remember, 1993. Queen of the World, 1993. She was the top 5
and then she
in
competed in
Germany.
something about and then let me see, Mika Chulina after Miss Universe, she competed in
Went to
Miss
Miss International.
International, and then she was semi-finalist again, as well. So it wasn't new to see these great contenders, like I like to call them the triple threat, because those were the ones that when you see them winning, you're like, oh, you can go to this pageant, this pageant, this pageant, this pageant. So the national director will be very clever. Okay, I need to start getting you ready and well known. So you get the vibe. And one of them you might win or you get advantage of it. I mean, look, the first Miss Grand, she went to Miss World, and because the organization Miss World Puerto Rico got the franchise of Grand, they sent her, and she ended up winning. And she was top 40 in Miss World, and then she ended up winning Miss Grand International, Janily Chaparro. So it's just, I don't know. I think that's part of the business. I know sometimes we want to have our own brand, but if logic in logic and country wise, your brand is not out there yet, you cannot be too picky. You cannot need to be like, let me take advantage and drive in the same boat with these people so my brand can get to be known.
So with the new, let's say Nawat owns Miss Universe now. So is there a possibility that let's say girls who had competed at Miss World will not be allowed to then compete at Miss Universe? Would that be a I mean, is it possible?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's say if Opal wins
yeah,
Miss World.
especially if Nawat, completely owns first, because he hates TPN Global, who owns a franchise of Miss World. They don't get along with
But But it's like Miss International. Miss International has a clause like, I think it's like, if you win Miss International, you cannot compete in another pageant for 5 years. And now Supranational came up with the clause that if you go to another pageant, you need to pay them back $10,000
But
or
only if
something
you
like
win.
that.
Only if you win.
You
win.
win. Mhm.
That makes sense. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that rule.
Yeah.
It's fair.
I mean,
Roger has a video on that about Miss Venezuela in 1999 not being able to compete in Miss Universe 2000. Is that correct?
mhm.
I do. I covered it
You do? Oh, I gotta go see that one.
recently in my crossover Queen video, which I released about a month ago. And I also covered it ages ago. But yes, you can check that out on my YouTube channel. Thank you for who was promoting that on my
Thank you,
behalf.
Michelle. Sam De Rivera is promoting it.
Thank you, Sam. Yes.
Also another, I want to see, should Nawat totally owns Miss Universe. I want to see the return of the Coventry crown, the original chandelier crown.
Sarah
That would be
Coventry,
amazing.
Yeah, but much
I
lighter.
miss that
Much
crown.
lighter and slightly smaller
But-
because the old one was
but like, modernize it and make
Modernize
it made of actual jewels.
Made of
Yes.
actual
Yeah.
jewels,
Rhinestone.
yes. But that crown is
I'm-
just like so stunning.
I want to
Iconic.
see.
I
And
miss
if
that
anything,
crown.
the girls get the replica, which is not maybe that bejeweled, but they get the replica.
Yes.
That is the
exactly.
beauty of it, is that they would always get a replica and like a reminder
Mhm.
that, and all of them have it like in a glass
Ooh.
container in their homes.
What
Yeah.
about
Yep.
what about the return of the scepter?
Oh,
Well, they tried that at Miss USA with when Noelia won. Look how well
Still
that
has it,
ended
and
up.
also last year. Yeah, baseball bat.
Yeah. See,
Stay away from me.
I got
And then
the
they-
scepter.
Miss Venezuela 2017, Stephanie Gutierrez had the cape when she won Miss
Oh yeah, that's
Venezuela.
right.
right, that's right.
And in the
Yeah.
olden days, they would crown the winner in their swimsuit.
The Simpsons.
Yes.
Miss
That's
World
right,
Big,
that's
with
right.
the
They
cape.
get the crown in the
Up
center
until
of the sash.
1960, yeah,
And
1960.
Miss World, they were walking around in bare feet.
I love those. I don't understand. I never understood that, Roger.
Even up until the 70s, they did that. They would
Yeah, there
come
was-
with
but no,
like no
did you notice?
shoes on.
They were doing the interviews in swimsuit. They had some girls barefoot, but they had some girls
Yes.
with shoes. I never got the
Oh, I never noticed
logic.
that. Right.
Why?
Yeah, because not all of them were barefoot.
No. There was
Mm.
some. No. 1973, Philippines was wearing heels, shoes, platform shoes.
Exactly.
Oh.
The
other ones were
But then
all of them
Japan was barefoot. Yeah.
I just don't understand. There's no uniformity in Miss World. And I want to see
Yeah.
uniformity in Miss World. Now, do you want to see Miss World bring back the swimsuit?
Yeah.
Some level of competition on finals night. Like it's just
No. I
Make it more
love the
visually
swimsuit.
interesting.
I love their swimsuit in Miss World. I remember because they make it very fashionable, like their own fashion style. I remember, Carolina Herrera. That's the designer.
Astrid.
Astrid, thank you, Astrid Herrera. 1995. I remember she looked so poised on her swimsuit because everybody needs
Jacqueline
to be.
Aguilera.
Thank you,
Jacqueline,
Jacqueline
yeah.
Aguilera. She looks
She's
so
wearing a big
Astrid
hat,
beautiful.
also looked really beautiful.
Yeah,
Like a
and
black
then with the
swimsuit,
evening
yeah.
gown that she used in Miss Venezuela, she used the same gown in Miss
Mhm.
World. She was my
Yeah.
favorite to win. Alicia wasn't in my list at
Mm.
all. For me, Jacqueline
Jacqueline
was the
wanted to go to
best.
Miss World anyways. She didn't want to go to Miss Universe. Jacqueline
And-
wanted Miss
and-
World.
She was reluctant, yeah.
She was like
Yeah,
that pageant that she wanted to go as a little girl.
Yeah,
I
because
think
and that
every,
was
I think every beauty pageant should have the swimsuit, period.
Yes. Beautiful swimsuits
Have
like
the
in the
swimsuit.
90s.
What is the
Yeah.
point of going to the gym, spending a lot of time and effort to make yourself good, to look good, only to compete with a fat girl right next to you? I just don't get it. You have to have
Exactly.
swimsuit competition. So it'll force all the contestants to go to the gym, lead a healthy lifestyle, drink lots
Exactly.
of drink whatever Wilfredo's drinking.
And if girls are gonna diet or they're gonna lose like a crazy amount of weight, do it in a way where even if you win the crown, you then, gain it back again.
But the thing,
Because it's a lot of like
it-
unhealthy habits, like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can develop, like
Well,
Alicia was like very unhealthy before she went to Miss Universe. She was like
Mhm.
mega thin because she
Harnaz.
was like strict Harnaz.
It's the same.
Very strict regulations, and so it's just like it hasn't. Oh, well, Suleika also gained some weight,
yeah, but
not we're
I'm
not,
not
and we're not fat shaming anyone, but we're just I feel like girls need to be prepared of what
reality.
they're signing up to,
Yeah.
what their year ahead is going to be like. They have to not just prepare to win, they have to prepare to win and then have a year of ideas, what they really want to accomplish, what do they want to what legacy do they want to leave behind?
But this is the thing.
They need to be given
gonna,
an opportunity.
Yeah.
this is the thing. They travel so much, the time, the food, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes that affects you, especially if you're Latina. We tend to be more to gain
You're
weight.
Latina.
I'm not to defend the queens because all of the Miss Universe gain weight. That's not a secret because of the flying.
They
they're not
all gain a
able
little
to
weight,
eat.
yes. They all do, but
And
also because they prepare and they do a lot of dieting.
But
Well, not the girls from the 60s or the 50s, because that
No.
time they did not eat processed foods.
and that's what I was going about. The nutritional level, the diet, the what is presented to these queens. Not everything is healthy in every country. So there's a lot of processed food. That is the reason that you see girls that can gain weight like that. But look at them right now. Like Zuleika Rivera looks amazing. Harnaz lose all that weight already. Alicia's too the same.
I have a feeling. I have a
but,
feeling that Nawat will treat the Miss Universe girls the same way he treats the Miss Grand girls. If you gain like 5 pounds, you're out. You're disqualified. You're eliminated.
Yeah.
He's gonna do the same thing. He's very strict about appearance. Remember the 4 Bs? He's gonna
Yeah.
those 4 Bs to Miss Universe as well.
And do you know the most famous Miss Thailand that is banking money and giving him
Varaha.
the one that was first up against Brazil. I remember he had a situation with her because she wasn't applying herself to lose weight and was like, either you apply yourself or I will dethrone you. And she applied herself and look at her right now.
All right,
And I
let's wrap it
understand why
up
you're
because it's 12:33 in the morning.
Last question. Will grand girls then be allowed to go to Miss Universe?
No.
Yes.
Because
If Nawat owns both companies, yes.
I would like
mutual
what's her name from Myanmar? Nini? Is her name Nini?
Oh, she won't be eligible.
No.
I would love to see her compete again.
Yeah, but
She was Miss Myanmar Universe. There's no way in
yeah.
hell.
Is
No
Myanmar-
way in hell she's gonna make the cut in Miss Universe.
Not with that attitude.
Nope.
No, with that attitude.
She'll go to Miss World eventually.
No, not Miss Myanmar. No, so she's not from Myanmar. She was the first runner-up in 20 with Luciana.
Oh, from Myanmar.
Oh,
From Myanmar, okay.
What's her
but
name?
not to
Okay.
say no. Okay.
Who is now the new national director of Miss Grand Myanmar?
That's who she is.
Yeah. Sorry, I see. Yeah.
But
I want to see. I want to see.
Like,
I want to see the dethroned Miss Universe Argentina become the new Miss Grand Argentina.
and she'll compete with Miss Grand Chile.
Miss Grand Chile.
The same competition.
Yes, that would be
singing.
great.
I have nothing.
That would be amazing.
I have nothing. Or the Whitney.
All right, I think we've pretty much discussed everything that we need to discuss tonight. So I'd like to thank all my guests for joining us. JD Torres, pleasure to have you aboard Critical Beauty Chat Group. Woo-hoo!
Critical Beauties.
Critical
Terras.
Critical Perras, the four
like my banner
Perras,
says, it's critical beauty, beauty
with attitude.
Critical gays who are obsessed with Miss Universe and watch her relentlessly every night. And go to YouTube and watch the path.
Guilty as charged.
Yes. So thank you for joining us, JD. People, if you want to follow JD on Instagram, his Instagram is JD Bullfighter. Toro in English.
Are you promoting me? In that case, I'll go in that because I think I'm private. So
oh, you're private? Okay. Never mind.
But if anything, if anything, I'll go public.
If it's private, it's private. Okay, just respect his privacy. But of course, everybody knows the Pageant Nerd. Follow him on Instagram, Pageant Nerd, and also YouTube channel.
But hopefully you'll see me here more, right?
Yep.
We hope so.
We
Yes.
like you. We like you.
Wilfredo Runway Poppy on Instagram, and Wilfredo Santos Lopez on Facebook as well. Please follow him. And please, people, please like this channel because this is the more you like, the more YouTube will recommend this video, this group chat. to the rest of the world. So please do, if you really love me. I know a lot of you people hate me, okay, for what I said, for what I say somethings on my Instagram, especially. But you know what? It is who I am. Okay, I'm not fake. This is the real thing. You see what you get. Okay, so I don't please everybody. I don't try to please everybody. I just please people who like me.
Unapologetic, like Madonna.
Totally
Exactly.
unapologetic. Okay, it's me. It's who I am.
And you guys
Anyway, so
remember that everything is alleged, that this is our opinions, and we receive
In my
information, but
opinion,
everything is
in my
allegedly.
opinion, so none of
We're
us
not
should get
expressing
Exactly.
any
sued.
judgment. It's just our
Mhm.
opinions.
None of us should
Mhm.
get sued for expressing our opinions.
We are
Okay.
If for
just for
some
men.
reason
We are just for
First
men who wish.
Amendment,
We're just for
exactly.
men who wish we would have been Miss Universe. Okay.
And the fact that we're giving free publicity to all these pageants by talking about them, okay,
Mhm.
they don't have the right to sue us because you
You're
guys
welcome.
you people are already
Exactly.
getting free publicity from each one of us, from our followers and whatnot, from our channels and social media platforms. Okay, because if you sue the fuck out of me, I'm gonna sue you back. Okay,
Exactly. We are the four
I'm that
perras.
vicious of a perra. Okay.
You've been warned.
We have to do. We have to do one close to Miss World.
Is
A
it-
live
Yes.
Miss World.
Oh,
Yes.
no. We need to
Yes.
do one for Miss Philippines. I want to do
Oh,
one for
okay.
Miss Philippines.
Miss
We need to
Universe
do one.
Philippines is May 2nd. By the way, one of the prizes
Very
the
cool, very
winner
soon.
gets is an electric car. It's a Chinese electric car called Wuling or something. It's ugly. I saw it, picture. Ugh, horrible. Don't buy anything made from China except Temu. I love Temu.
On that note,
Temu. All right, so people, thank you so much for joining us. Have a
thank
wonderful
you,
day,
everyone.
wonderful weekend. Thank you, Roger.
Hey
Thank you,
guys.
Wilfredo. Thank you, JD. Thank you, people.
All right.
Everybody. Have a good night. Have a good weekend, and God bless.
Ciao, ciao.
Allegedly.
Bye.